Chapter 604. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Wadash. Sihua was so shocked he almost threw the phone away. What? What did you say? Lin Yi's driving? Out with Ming Yao and the others? Yeah. What's wrong with that? Yu Chu was just a small fry, and he didn't know much about these secretive things. He knew that Lin Yi had crippled Master Bing's legs, but he didn't know much about Lin Yi's strength or Uncle Zhu's. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Lin Yi's driving? Sihua asked in disbelief. Nope. I even took a picture with my phone when they came out. I'll send it to you later? Yu Chu said with certainty. He didn't know why Sihua was so suspicious. Lin Yi's like a normal person? There's nothing wrong with him? Sihua asked, unwilling to give up. Yeah, he's driving. What's wrong with that? Yu Chu replied. Then send me the picture. Sihua frowned. This was strange. According to Uncle Zhu and Yao Wang, shouldn't Lin Yi be lying on the bed, about to die? How was he still able to go out with Ming Yao and Yu Shu? He could even drive? Okay, should I continue to follow them? Zhang Yuzhou asked. You don't have to. You can leave now. Sihua only wanted to check on Lin Yi's condition. He wasn't interested in what Lin Yi was doing at all. Oh, all right. I'll be leaving then. Yu Chu replied. He sent Lin Yi's picture to Sihua and told the driver to stop following the car. And so, just when Lin Yi was wondering why Sihua had sent someone to follow him and Lin Yi was about to shake them off, the car behind him disappeared after a turn. Lin Yi shook his head. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with them since they weren't following them anymore. Sihua wouldn't be able to do much anyway. Sihua received a picture from Zhang Yuzhou right after he hung up. It was a picture of Lin Yi walking out of the villa with Ming Yao and Yu Shu as if nothing had happened, and the three of them were in the car. The last few pictures were a little blurry, evidently taken when Zhang Yuzhou was following Lin Yi in the car. Only the rear of Meng Yao's Audi S5 could be seen clearly. Sihua didn't dare to delay, and hurriedly ran into the back of the bar. Qibing was playing with his phone while Yao Wang and Uncle Zhu were discussing something in a low voice. Master Bing, Uncle Zhu, Mr. Yao, I have big news, Sihua said in a panic. Big news? What big news? Master Bing put his phone aside when he saw Sihua. He was reading a web novel called How to Pick Up Girls, imagining himself becoming the main character in the novel and dominating the world. Lin Yi doesn't seem to be injured. According to my men, he's out with Ming Yao and Yu Shu right now. Lin Yi is driving. He's no different from a normal person. Sihua said. Impossible. Qibing didn't say anything, but Uncle Zhu spoke first. I exchanged a palm strike with him. I know what's going on between us. How can he be fine? Uncle Zhu, I don't think it's possible either. But this is the picture my men just sent me. Take a look. Sihua smiled bitterly and passed the phone to Uncle Zhu. Uncle Zhu took the phone and looked at it. Yao Wang, who was at the side, followed. This? Uncle Zhu's eyes widened as he looked at the image on the phone, as if he had just seen a ghost. Was this taken just now? How is that possible? With such a heavy injury, I don't even know if I can stand up and walk. Even without the elixir and Yao Bro's care, I might not even be able to talk. How can this Lin Yi leave the house? Yao Wang's face was also filled with disbelief. He felt that the photo on the phone was too unbelievable. It can't be, right? Could it be that Lin Yi isn't injured at all? Is he not a mystic class master? Is he a higher class master? That's impossible. Uncle Zhu shook his head. When we exchanged palms, I could clearly feel his strength. He's at the early phase of the mystic class. Besides, if he was stronger, he wouldn't have ignored my warning and attacked Master Bing directly. Since he chose to retreat, it means that he didn't have the confidence to fight me head-on. Besides, it's only when our strengths are on par that I can survive. If the opponent's strength was too high, I wouldn't even be here talking right now. I would have died a long time ago. But the fact is that Lin Yi really came out. Let's not talk about what's possible or not. It's already possible. Sihua said helplessly. Uncle Zhu, Mr. Yao Wang, if Lin Yi was injured, he wouldn't be able to get up, right? That's not for sure. Yao Wang shook his head. There's only one possibility. He lost his strength, so he's back to normal. Lost his strength? Sihua paused, not understanding what Yao Wang meant. Yes, he lost his strength. Yao Wang nodded. When a master is injured to the point of death, there are two ways to save his life. The first is to use a large amount of rare and precious elixirs to nourish himself. Of course, you also need a master who knows how to heal with pure energy. Otherwise, the pure energy in the world wouldn't be enough to heal the injury. The second way is if you don't meet the requirements of the first method, you can only lose your strength in order to save your life. So you're saying that after you save your life, your strength will be gone? Sihua asked, surprised. You could say that. Yao Wang nodded. Could it be that Lin Yi lost his strength? Sihua mumbled to himself. The first method has too many requirements. It needs a treasure of heaven and earth, as well as a master with medical expertise. Lin Yi probably won't be able to find all of these things. It's possible that he'd even dispelled his arts to save his life. In the first method, you don't have to meet these two requirements at the same time. It's just that if you have both, you'll be able to recover faster. If you lack one, you'll be able to recover, but at a slower rate. Yao Wang said with a wave of his hand. I don't think Lin Yi has these two requirements, so it's possible that he chose to lose his strength, Sihua said. Chapter 605. Yao Wang's analysis, of course not. Uncle Zhu smiled bitterly. If it were me, I'd rather die than lose my strength. Only cultivators like us know how hard it is to cultivate. Strength is built up bit by bit, and losing it to a normal person is worse than dying. Even if there's a sliver of hope, you can't lose your strength. You're right. Yao Wang nodded. That's why, if Lin Yi isn't an idiot, he wouldn't lose his strength. Or, at least, he wouldn't lose it unless he had no other choice. Or maybe he had no other choice. Sihua frowned. Right, could it be that he's recovered his strength? Recovered his strength? Yao Wang and Uncle Zhu both took in a cold breath. After all, Sihua's assumption was far too bold. It wasn't impossible, but it was too idealistic. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Sihua asked, curious at the exaggerated expressions on Yao Wang and Uncle Zhu's faces. The hypothesis you're suggesting is possible, Yao Wang said, but that's only in an ideal situation. First, if he's in a blessed place with thick pure energy, it's not impossible for him to recover his strength in a day. As long as there's enough pure energy to absorb, recovering his strength wouldn't be a problem. Of course, I don't know if there's such a place on Earth, at least, I've never heard of it. That sounds like a fairyland from a TV show. It doesn't seem to exist anymore. Sihua shook his head. Other than that, the second method is to have a master from the same sect imbue Lin Yi's body with his own qi, and that's how he can recover quickly. However, this method had its flaws. First of all, it had to be an expert from the same sect. Because different sects had different cultivation methods, the true qi in their bodies was also different. If it was forced, it would only result in death. Secondly, while it could save someone, it wouldn't be a good thing for the master. Giving away the pure energy he'd worked so hard for would cause his strength to plummet, and he might even lose a level. I don't think even blood brothers or father and son would use this method, because the higher the level, the harder it was to cultivate. In order to save a mystic class master's life, the rescuer must be at least an earth class master. But if he gave his true qi to the rescuer, then the rescuer might also drop to mystic class. If he wanted to ascend to earth class again, he would need a lot of hard work. No one would do such a thing. Medicine King said, I see. Sihua nodded. So that means that Lin Yi really did lose his strength? Or was there really no hope for him to recover? I've heard from Pengzhan that Lin Yi doesn't have any friends, and that he's alone. There's no one to save him, and he doesn't have any treasures to help him. If he doesn't disperse his strength, he'll die. That's hard to say. Yao Wang shook his head. In short, I think this matter is very strange. Yeah, this Pengzhan really doesn't know what's good for him. I've been beating around the bush for a long time, but I can't get anything out of him. Sihua said angrily. All right, stop studying Lin Yi. What's the point of studying him? Whether or not he recovers, I'll deal with him. Master Bing was getting impatient. Since he doesn't have anyone to back him up, I'll make sure he dies in front of me. And this Pengzhan, does it mean that he's going to protect Lin Yi no matter what? I wasn't planning to deal with him immediately, but since he doesn't know what's good for him, then I'll deal with him as well. That's true. Sihua nodded after hearing Master Bing's words. Mr. Yao, Uncle Zhu, how do we deal with Lin Yi? Lil Brother Zhu's condition won't be able to recover within a year and a half, so don't worry about him, Yao Wang said. But even if Lil Brother Zhu recovers, I don't recommend fighting Lin Yi head-on. Oh, Yao Wang, aren't you a mystic as well? You're not afraid of Lin Yi, are you? You and Uncle Zhu working together can't take down Lin Yi? Qibin asked. Master Bing, I'm a mystic, yes, but my mystic class is a bit special. Yao Wang smiled bitterly. Although I'm a mystic as well, I used medicine to increase my strength. It's different from a master who uses pure qi from heaven and earth to increase his strength. Moreover, the mental cultivation method that I'm cultivating is of a supplementary nature. Its main purpose is to save people and not attack. So that's how it is. Master Bing nodded, but he felt wronged. If that's the case, then how do we deal with Lin Yi? Can't we do anything to him now that he's a normal person? That's not true. No one can be sure if Lin Yi is a normal person or not. What if he has an ancient miracle medicine? Eating one would be equivalent to half a year's worth of recovery. Who knows, he might even recover his strength. Yao Wang shook his head. There's such a miracle medicine? Qibin's eyes widened. The world is big. Nothing is too strange. Yao Wang said, although it sounds a bit scary, I've read about similar medicines in some ancient books. They're called the Great Recovery Pill and the Minor Recovery Pill. The Great Recovery Pill allows an injured person to recover to their peak in an instant, and the Minor Recovery Pill allows the injury to heal quickly, but the strength has to be recovered bit by bit. Of course, this miracle medicine is only a legend. It's hard to say whether or not it exists. But what if Lin Yi has it? If we fight him head-on, we'll be at a disadvantage. Makes sense. Sihua nodded. Fuck. Then wouldn't we be holding back? Qibin was very unhappy after hearing Yao Wang's analysis. Wasn't this toying with them? Why don't we deal with Peng Zhan first? Sihua suddenly had an idea. Since we can't deal with Lin Yi directly, why don't we start with Peng Zhan? We can also test Lin Yi's strength this way. If Lin Yi really recovers, he'll definitely jump out. If Lin Yi is a normal person, he won't be able to get involved. That's right. Qibin was energized. That's right. We can deal with Peng Zhan first. Let's think about how to deal with him. Chapter 606. Chapter 606. Ruin his reputation, that's right. You guys take a break first. Sihua, what do you think we should do next? Qibin asked. Sihua fell into deep thought. We should choose to strike Peng Zhan's weakest point, where it's the easiest to hit him. That way, we'll be able to quickly test out Peng Zhan's bottom line and see if Lin Yi has recovered his strength. Fuck. It'd be great if we could deal with both Peng Zhan and Lin Yi at the same time. I can't take it anymore. Qibing's temper had been pretty bad these days after all. Lying in bed with a broken leg was a very uncomfortable thing to do. Peng Zhan Industries has a lot of businesses. We should target the weakest one, the one that's the easiest to deal with. Sihua said in a deep voice. Master Bing didn't disturb him. After all, Qibing wasn't as familiar with Peng Zhan Industries as Sihua was. He didn't even know what kind of businesses Peng Zhan Industries had. He could only wait for Sihua to come up with a plan. Su Jiaonong, come in. Sihua couldn't think of anything by himself, so he called Su Jiaonong in. But Su Jiaonong wasn't a very skillful man. He wasn't even as good as Sihua when it came to scheming. The two discussed for a long time, but couldn't come up with a plan. It pissed Qibing off. You two pieces of trash. You can't even do something this simple. Keep thinking. I don't believe that we can't deal with one Peng Zhan. Master Bing, please calm down. Jiaonong said carefully. Sihua bro, why don't we call Jing Gubong and Zhong Fabai over? Jing Gubong used to work for Peng Zhan Industries, and he knows them far better than we do. Plus, Zhong Fabai seems to be quite a devious. There's strength in numbers. What do you think, Master Bing? All right, Sihua, hurry up and call Jing Gubong and Fabai. Tell them to come over. Master Bing agreed without hesitation. He didn't want to wait any longer. He wanted to take revenge on Lin Yi. Jing Gubong and Zhong Fabai heard that Master Bing wanted to see them, so they rushed over immediately. They knew that Linny had injured Uncle Zhu and crippled Master Bing's leg, but they didn't think that Linny could live for long. Who was Master Bing? Linny actually broke his opposite leg. Why would Master Bing let him off? So when Sihua told them about Master Bing's plan to deal with Lin Yi and Pengzhan Industries, they knew that their guess was correct. I'm good at dealing with Pengzhan, Gubong said. If we're talking about something that can attract the attention of the media and ruin Pengzhan Industries' reputation, we can start with the schools. School? Fourth school? Sihua paused. That's right, it's the school. Gubong said, nowadays, if something happens to the students in the school, it'll be a big deal. The media won't stop until they're dead, and the public's opinion will be one-sided. They'll say that Pengzhan is a black-hearted businessman who dared to target the students. Even if they want to salvage the situation, it'll depend on what it is. What we need to do is create an accident that they can't salvage, and we'll be able to achieve our goal. That's right. Sihua's eyes lit up. That's right. If something were to happen to Pengzhan's school, the parents wouldn't just let it go. It'd be a headache. But what could cause a school to go wrong? Continue. What should we do? Qibing nodded approvingly. It seemed that he didn't take Gubong in for nothing. If we cause a school to go wrong, naturally, we'll cause problems for the students. Gubong said, for example, if a building collapses and kills a few students, or if a gang goes to the school and kills a few students, or if there's a teacher who's a monster, hitting or even molesting the students, etc., these are all things that can destroy a school's reputation in no time. But what you're saying isn't very realistic. Qibing frowned. A building collapses? Do you dare be like Lin Yi and destroy a building? If it's a gang, do you want our people to do it? Wouldn't we be dragged into this? As for the monster teacher, don't even think about it. It's basically impossible. No matter how much money you give them, they won't risk their lives to commit crimes. Gubong laughed dryly, a little embarrassed. I'm just giving examples. Let's continue our discussion. Master Bing, I wonder if this Mr. Yao Wang is an expert in poison as well as saving lives? Fabai, who'd been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. Poison? Of course, Yao Wang is an expert in all kinds of pharmacology. Poison is a piece of cake for him. Qibing nodded. Haha, Master Bing, why don't we poison them? If a student gets food poisoning, it won't be a small matter. Fabai said, food poisoning. This can be attributed to the school's poor supervision, or it can be twisted to say that Pengzhan Industries is too evil. They sold expired junk food to the students and caused the students to be poisoned. If they're not careful, they might even poison Lin Yi or Ming out to death. That would be killing two birds with one stone. Brilliant. How wonderful. Old Zhong, you're not bad at all. Zhao Qibing listened to Fabai's idea and praised it. That's a good idea. Let's do it. Yao Wang, make a poison as soon as possible and poison the cafeteria of 4th High. Poison is easy, but who's going to do it? Moreover, if he poisoned it, would it be discovered by others? That's the key. Yao Wang was naturally an expert in poison, but that wasn't what he was concerned about. That's a problem. Right, old Zhong. Isn't your son in 4th High? Why don't you let him do it? Qibing glanced at Fabai and said, Huh. Fabai was taken aback and jumped in fright. How could he let his son do something like this? If this was exposed, he'd have to go to jail. He only had one son, and he was missing a kidney. How could he let him take the risk? He quickly said, Master Bing, that's not a good idea. Let my son do this. What, you're not willing? Master Bing frowned. Are you afraid that I won't give you any benefits? Chapter 607. Chapter 607. Getting close to Guan Xin. That's what you're talking about. We'll just find a scapegoat when the time comes. Master Bing said faintly as he looked at Gubong and Sihua. Do you have anyone who can take the blame? I do, but I don't have any connections with Pengzhan Industries. The police might not believe me even if I get them to take the blame. Sihua said, troubled. Master Bing, I do have someone who's a distant relative of mine. He's the type of person who values money more than his life. Gubong said after some thought. Most importantly, he has some history with Pengzhan. Yes, that's right. It's decided then. Yao Wang will make the poison, and Pinliang will poison it. Gubong's distant relative will be the scapegoat if something goes wrong. Master Bing was getting impatient. Yao Wang, it's best if you make a rare poison that's hard to detoxify, and the hospital won't be able to detect it. That's the only way to ruin Pengzhan Industries' reputation. Otherwise, if they find out that someone poisoned Pengzhan Industries, it won't affect Pengzhan as much. Don't worry, Master Bing, Yao Wang said confidently. There aren't many people in this world who can detoxify the poison I make. Since I'm called Yao Wang, I naturally have a deep understanding of pharmacology. I've never lost to anyone in my life, other than one person, but that person disappeared more than 10 years ago. Yao Wang naturally had the right to be arrogant. If Yao Wang said he was number 2 amongst all the famous doctors of the hidden houses, then no one would dare say they were number 1. This was also why he was able to save Uncle Zhu even after he was injured. Yes, that's good. Master Bing knew how powerful Yao Wang was. We'll carry out this plan after Pinliang is discharged. Old Zhong, don't worry too much. I won't mistreat you. Isn't Pinliang missing a kidney? I'll help him research a compatible kidney source in the next few days, and then install it for him. Thank you, Master Bing. Fabai was overjoyed. Pinliang's loss of a kidney had always been a thorn in his side, and Master Bing was here to help him find a new kidney. It couldn't be any better. Linny naturally didn't know that Master Bing had started to deal with him, but even if he knew, he would just laugh it off. Medicine King? He even used Dr. Kang's medicine to treat his injuries. How dare he call himself the king of medicine? Why are there so many people with big faces in this world? Nothing was too strange in this world. Linny parked the car downstairs of Shuehai bookstore and accompanied the 2 ladies into the bookstore. Mengyao and Yushu went to the high school information section. Linny wasn't too interested in stuff like that. Even if he couldn't get into a university, Pengzhan would still send him to one of Mengyao's. Linny wasn't Mengyao, after all. He didn't care how he got into university. If he had the time to study every day, he might as well do some research instead. Linny was busy enough every day. I'll go to the medicine section. You guys can find me there after you're done, Linny said to Mengyao. Oh. Mengyao was flipping through the latest mock exam summaries from different provinces and cities. She responded faintly and didn't bother with Lin Yi. Yushu was also flipping through a practice book like Mengyao, but after hearing Lin Yi's words, she waved her hand at Lin Yi, indicating that she understood. Lin Yi smiled and turned to the medicine section. This was where he met Guan Xuemin. Almost a month had passed in the blink of an eye, and Lin Yi and Guan Xuemin had established a medicine company together. Life was really strange. But, surprisingly, Lin Yi saw 2 familiar faces in the medicine section. Kong Mingming had been in Songshan for 4 days now, and he was here with a difficult mission for his family. Hit on Guan Xian. He wanted to start with Guan Xian and learn about the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing in Guan Xuemin's hands. Of course, he didn't believe that Guan Xuemin had invented the recipe. As far as he was concerned, Guan Xuemin was just like his grandfather, Dr. Kong, who'd gotten the recipe from some master by chance. He was a master at hitting on girls, and naturally, he wouldn't rush to the hospital to give Guan Xian flowers or woo her. That would be too cliché, and he didn't think that Guan Xian would say yes. According to Kong Mingming's research, Guan Xian had never had a boyfriend before. Doing that would only scare her. And so, Kong Mingming wanted to create a chance encounter. He wanted to meet Guan Xian at a suitable place and get to know her. That way, Guan Xian would let her guard down. But this opportunity wasn't easy to come by. Kong Mingming waited in front of Guan Xian's house for 4 days without a single chance. It was easy to find out where Guan Xuemin lived, and Kong Mingming found it without much effort. But while he waited for Guan Xian nearby, and he did see her every day, he couldn't just go up and hit on her, could he? Guan Xian would definitely think of him as a pervert, and that wasn't something Kong Mingming wanted to see. Guan Xian took the commuter bus to and from work every day. It was a routine, and Kong Mingming had no chance to take advantage of it. If Guan Xian took the bus or taxi, he could still create a chance encounter. But he wasn't a hospital employee, so he couldn't get on a commuter bus. This made Kong Mingming very gloomy. He called himself the Casanova, but when had he not met his target after waiting for 4 days? Just as he was about to lose his patience, Guan Xian finally left the house. It was Saturday, and Guan Xian didn't go to work. After leaving the villa, she took the bus to academic bookstore. Kong Ming felt that his chance had come, so he quickly flagged down a taxi and followed her all the way to academic bookstore. When he saw Guan Xian go to the medical section, he started thinking about how to hit on her. Guan Xian naturally didn't notice that someone was following her. After all, she wasn't a criminal investigator, so there was no way she would notice that Kong Ming was already not far from her. Guan Xian came to the bookstore today to buy some books about the doctor assistant exam. She'd majored in nursing when she was in school, but she'd also studied Chinese and Western medicine at the same time. Her grandfather was an outstanding doctor, and Guan Xian didn't want to disappoint him, so she chose a medicine-related major as her second major. Chapter 608. Kong Ming strikes up a conversation. Guan Xian's decision to pick up this major and take the exam was all because of Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi's medical skills were on par with her grandpa's, perhaps even better. She was afraid that she wouldn't have anything to talk about with Lin Yi in the future, so she decided to pick up this major. She didn't tell her grandpa or her father about it, of course. She'd made the decision herself. Kong Ming was regretting that he didn't spend more time studying medical books. He could have found a topic to talk to Guan Xian if he did. It was a rare opportunity. He came from a medical family, and this was the perfect excuse to strike up a conversation with Guan Xian. Unfortunately, Kong Ming didn't know how to do anything other than flirt. Kong Ming panicked when he saw Guan Xian flipping through a book from the shelf. How was he supposed to hit on her? Wait a minute. Kong Ming had an epiphany. Guan Xian was just a nurse. She didn't know anything about medicine. Nurses, on the other hand, should be doing things like practice makes perfect, right? Needles, bandages, and so on. She didn't need to go to a bookstore to buy books, did she? So Guan Xian was here for. Kong Ming looked around the medical section. There were quite a few girls as well, and one of them happened to walk past him. Kong Ming clearly saw the words on the cover of the book she was holding. Traditional Chinese Beauty. Realization dawned on Kong Ming. So it was Traditional Chinese Beauty. Guan Xian was probably here for that type of book as well. Which girl didn't want to look good? Especially a cute and pretty girl like Guan Xian. She wanted to look even prettier. Kong Ming felt more confident at that thought. He didn't know anything about medicine, but Guan Xian might not know either. As long as he made it sound more professional and reliable, Guan Xian wouldn't be able to tell if he was telling the truth or not. Not to mention that there were many books out there that were full of lies. What was written might not even be right, and some of them even contradicted each other. Kong Ming gritted his teeth, strode over, and said with a smile, "Beautiful lady, are you reading beauty books?" Guan Xian's book was open, so Kong Xiaoming couldn't see the cover. He had no idea what Guan Xian was reading, so he asked arrogantly, "Oh." Guan Xian raised her head to look at Kong Ming. She didn't recognize him, so she ignored him and continued reading her book. Hee, many of the things in these books are lies. I happen to have nothing to do today, so I'll tell you how to use Chinese medicine to make you look good. Kong Ming said confidently, "Let me introduce myself. I'm Kong Ming, the grandson of Dr. Kong." Dr. Kong? Guan Xian paused. She'd heard of Dr. Kong before, the famous golden creation. She'd often be asked if the hospital had Dr. Kang's golden creation when she was bandaging patients. But Guan Xian didn't have any special feelings towards Dr. Kong. She'd only heard of him. Yeah, our Kong family is a family of Chinese medicine. Usually, I won't casually comment on these Chinese medicine beauty books, but after seeing you today, I really can't help but say a few words. Kong Ming thought that Guan Xian was shocked by Dr. Kang's name, so he continued to speak proudly. "If you follow these scammers' books to make you look good, then you'll definitely be disfigured. I can't bear to see someone as beautiful as you be destroyed, so I have to say something." "Oh." Guan Xian frowned, annoyed by Kong Ming's incessant chatter. "No need. I don't want to have my beauty done either." "How can you do that? You're so beautiful. If you don't know how to take care of yourself, then your beauty will only last for a short time." Kong Ming said, "Think about it. You're so beautiful now because you're young and invincible, but in a few years, you'll be old and your pearls will turn yellow. What then?" Guan Xian glared at Kong Ming Ming, wondering why this guy was talking like that. Old and yellow pearls? Was he crazy? But Guan Xian had good manners, and she wasn't the type to get angry easily. She didn't say anything even though she was displeased with Kong Ming Ming, and continued to read. She thought that if she ignored him, he'd just leave. But who would have thought that Kong Xiaoming didn't leave? He continued to ramble on. Our miracle Dr. Kang's family has done a lot of research on traditional Chinese beauty treatments. These are all common herbs written in these books, but they're actually useless. If you want to stay young forever, you need to take some strong medicine. For example, Lingji, snow lotus, deer antler, tiger penis. Kong Ming Ming didn't know what kind of medicine was good, but since Guan Xian didn't know anything about it, he told her about some of the expensive herbs he'd heard about. Guan Xian couldn't help but blush when she heard the words tiger penis. She was a little irritated. Was there something wrong with this guy? Why did he have to say everything? But Kong Ming Ming didn't have any self-awareness. He thought that Guan Xian was moved by his knowledge when he saw her blush, so he continued, I still have half a tiger penis at home. I ate half of it last time and it was very useful. If you need it, I can give it to you. Kong Xiaoming didn't realize that there was anything wrong with the tiger penis. He just wanted to get on Guan Xian's good side. So he told her whatever he had at home. He did have snow lotus, but that was for the skin-beautifying golden creation. He wasn't stupid enough to give it away. Guan Xian couldn't stand the person in front of her any longer. She closed the book in her hands and was about to leave when she looked up to see Lin Yi standing not too far away. Her heart leapt with joy. She waved at Lin Yi. Lin Yi, what a coincidence, you're here too. Kong Ming Ming was in the middle of proudly showing off his store's stock when he saw Guan Xian walk away, to find Lin Yi no less. Kong Ming Ming's teeth itched with anger. The entire Kong family saw Lin Yi as their archenemy. Ever since Kong Xiaobo started hanging out with him, House Kong had been thrown into chaos. It was clearly a perfectly fine pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but he didn't explain it clearly. Not only did he cause the Kong family to lose a precious pill, but they also had to eat dog shit. It was as embarrassing as it could get. Of course, Kong Ming Ming never blamed his family for these mistakes. He never thought that if it wasn't for the fact that his family didn't believe that Kong Xiaobo's pill was a miracle pill and Kong Ming Ming had stomped on the pill to smithereens, there wouldn't have been a series of events that happened after that. But Kong Ming Ming pushed all the blame onto Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi, blaming them for not making things clear. Chapter 609. I don't know him. He wouldn't have needed a shepherd dog if he hadn't been researching dog poop, and the pills wouldn't have been eaten by a dog anyway. That's why enemies are furious when they see each other. Kong Ming Ming wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Yi into a million pieces, especially since he didn't know what kind of relationship this guy had with Xuemin. What did he have to do with Xuemin and Lai Changyi? Haha, I'm just looking around. What are you doing here? Lin Yi could tell that Kong Ming Ming was here to get close to Guan Xian, but he didn't understand why Kong Ming Ming was chasing after Guan Xian. Could it be that this brat has nothing better to do and only knows how to chase after women? Yeah, I'm here to buy 2 books. Guan Xian's face reddened again. Her heart raced when she remembered that the reason she was buying books was because of Lin Yi. She was a shy girl, especially in front of the man she liked. Oh, do you need help? Lin Yi nodded, not thinking much about it. Guan Xian was Xuemin's granddaughter, and she worked in a hospital. It wasn't strange for her to buy medical books. No need. I've already chosen, Guan Xian said quietly. Kong Ming Ming was about to explode it. Why did this Lin Yi have to do everything? It was a perfect opportunity to hit on Guan Xian, but Lin Yi had ruined it. Was this kid born to be a troublemaker? He'd ruined his grandpa's birthday banquet, ruined House Kang's plans for the auction, and even ruined his own attempts to hit on Guan Xian. Xiaoming couldn't take it anymore. He pointed at Lin Yi and said to Guan Xian, "This guy isn't a good person. Don't hang out with him. He's a big scammer. Our Kong family's signature product has been copied by him. We're Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine, and he made Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. We made a special edition, and he also made a special edition. He's simply copying and copying. Don't get close to such a shameless person. He's learning everything from us. We're Miracle Dr. Kong, and now he's Miracle Dr. Guan." He's the king of copycats. Kang Xiaoming poured out all the depression he'd been suppressing for a long time. But when he finished, he saw Guan Xian staring at him coldly. It sent a chill down his spine. What kind of gaze was that? Kang Mingming suddenly understood. Wasn't Guan Xian's grandfather Miracle Dr. Guan? How dare he call Miracle Dr. Guan a fake? Wasn't that the same as scolding someone's grandfather? Of course Guan Xian was pissed. Kang Mingming regretted it. He couldn't control his mouth. Even if that was what he thought, he couldn't say it out loud. Wouldn't that make Guan Xian hate him? In a moment of desperation, Kang Xiaoming could only explain incoherently, No. I'm not saying that Miracle Dr. Guan isn't good. I'm saying that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company isn't good. It's a counterfeit. Guan Xian was still staring at Kang Mingming coldly. Her eyes were filled with anger. Kang Mingming was shocked. What he said just now wasn't appropriate. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Wasn't it Guan Shuamin's company? It would have been better if he didn't explain himself. The more he tried to explain, the more he made things worse. No. I'm not saying Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is bad. I'm saying that Miracle Dr. Guan was tricked by that Lai Changyi and this kid. They made him do some fake things. Kang Mingming explained incoherently. I didn't mean to insult you. How did you know Miracle Dr. Guan is my grandfather? Guan Xian glared at Kang Mingming. She didn't say anything about her identity. How did Kang Mingming know? I guessed it. Kang Mingming sweated profusely. Yeah, he was here to create a coincidence. He shouldn't know Guan Xian. How did he let it slip? You knew, didn't you? Did you approach me on purpose? What are you trying to do? Guan Xian took 2 steps back subconsciously. She looked at Kang Mingming cautiously. It's a misunderstanding. It's actually a misunderstanding. Kang Mingming was panicking. His performance today was below par. It could be said that he was below par. He was a master at picking up girls. How could he make such a low-level mistake? Linny. It had to be Linny. Ever since he met this kid, he'd started to make mistakes. It wasn't like this before. When he first met Guan Xian, he was still a gentleman, boastful and knowledgeable, and Guan Xian didn't pay attention to him because she was shy. At least she wasn't as angry as she was right now. He didn't know that Guan Xian only thought of him as a passerby. She didn't care about him at all. Since he was just a passerby, Guan Xian had no reason to be angry at him. But now, he was insulting her grandfather. He was insulting her grandfather and Lin Yi's company. How could she not be angry? Guan Xian wasn't a woman with a strong personality. Although she was angry, she only glared at Kang Mingming. Guan Xian, I actually know you. I've admired you for a long time. That's why I'm a bit infatuated in front of you. Please forgive me for saying something that doesn't make sense. Kang Mingming was indeed a master of love. After he calmed down, he pushed away his mistake with just a few words. Now, he was saying that Guan Xian was too pretty and that Kang Mingming was infatuated with her. If it was a more vain girl, she would have been very happy and wouldn't have cared about his mistake. But Guan Xian only had Lin Yi in her eyes. There was no place for Kang Mingming. His words only annoyed her even more. She frowned subtly and lowered her head. She didn't want to see Kang Mingming anymore. Seeing that Guan Xian was ignoring him and lowering her head, Kang Mingming thought that his words made Guan Xian shy. Girls who had never had a boyfriend would always be shy. Kang Mingming thought that Guan Xian was the same. Besides, he'd already used enough strong medicine today. If he said anything more, Kang Mingming was afraid that Guan Xian wouldn't be able to handle it. Guan Xian, I still have something to do today. A friend asked me out. I'll be leaving now. I've lost my composure today. Although I had my reasons, it was still inappropriate. I'll come and apologize another day. Kang Mingming felt that he was really smart. Not only did he apologize, but he also made a concession in order to advance. He set up an excuse for their next meeting. This way, Kang Mingming could go to the hospital to find Guan Xian. Chapter 6:10. What a fierce employer. Guan Xian didn't know what she was trying to prove, but she didn't want Linny to misunderstand. I know him. Linny smiled. He's a playboy. Don't mind him. Okay. Guan Xian nodded, relieved. As long as Lin Yi didn't misunderstand. Guan Xian didn't understand why she cared so much about Lin Yi. Lin Yi had a girlfriend. What did she want? Guan Xian didn't know either. Did you buy the books? Lin Yi asked. Not yet. I was choosing when that Kong something came. Guan Xian shook her head. He said some weird stuff. I don't understand. Ha, continue choosing then. I'll just read some books. Lin Yi took a book from the shelf and started reading. Mengyao and Yushu went to the medicine section to look for Lin Yi after they were done with their revision materials. They saw Lin Yi talking to Guan Xian. What's he doing? Mengyao was about to explode. Why was he messing around again when she couldn't even stop him? Why did he bump into a pretty girl in a bookstore? Shield bros flirting. Yushu took a closer look. She's pretty. Not any worse than Yao Yao. What are you talking about? Meng Yao gritted her teeth. What do you mean not worse than me? This Lin Yi. He's pissing me off. Would he die if he didn't flirt? Oh, I don't know. I'll go tell Shield bro to stop flirting then? Yushu asked. You can't go. Meng Yao frowned. She didn't want to yell at Lin Yi directly. She needed an excuse, or he'd think that she was doing something to him. With that thought, Meng Yao quickly took out her wallet and stuffed it in front of Yushu's chest. Hide it. Just say that you lost it. Oh. Yushu stared at her boobs, confused. Yao Yao, it's not symmetrical. Hold it in for a bit. It'll be symmetrical when we get home. Meng Yao glared at her. Oh. Yushu nodded, feeling wronged. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Shu and I went to buy books. How did you disappear in the blink of an eye? Meng Yao tried her best to sound angry. I lost my wallet. Where did you go? Lin Yi was just about to finish his conversation with Guan Xian when Meng Yao's shout startled him. Who are they? Guan Xian jumped in fright as well. She looked at Meng Yao and Yushu in fear. These two girls were ridiculously beautiful, but they were so fierce that it was scary. My employer. Lin Yi shrugged and smiled bitterly. I have to go back. See you next time. Guan Xian was curious. Why did Lin Yi have an employer? Wasn't he doing business with Grandpa? Why did it look like he was the follower of the two misses? What the hell was going on? Although Guan Xian was curious, she didn't ask any questions. She wasn't a talkative girl, so she nodded. All right. Come to my house some other day. Grandpa's still wondering when you'll be able to come. Okay, I'll visit when I'm free. Lin Yi nodded. Then tell Grandpa in advance. I'll prepare food for you. Guan Xian said, a little embarrassed. Meng Yao gritted her teeth when she heard that Guan Xian was going to cook for Lin Yi. How could this girl be so shameless? She even wanted to cook for Lin Yi? Lin Yi, I'm hungry. Hurry, go home and cook for me and Shu. Meng Yao pointed at Lin Yi and said angrily, Oh, I'm hungry too. I want to eat shark meat. Yushu raised her hands and called out as well, but the movement was too big, and a corner of her purse was squeezed out of her chest. She didn't even realize it, and continued excitedly, Let's go catch a shark. Your employer is so fierce. Guan Xian opened her mouth. She looked at Meng Yao and Yushu, stunned. Then go home. Don't disturb your work. Okay, see you next time. Lin Yi didn't know what was up with the miss again. He walked over quickly. Lin Yi, it's because you left your post without permission that my wallet was stolen. What do you think I should do? Meng Yao glared at Lin Yi. Bring the thief to justice. Oh, it's Shu who stole your wallet. Lin Yi smiled. How is that possible? Meng Yao was shocked. She didn't know how Lin Yi knew. She argued, Shu, why would Shu steal my wallet? No, I didn't steal it. Yushu shook her head as well. Huh. It's right in front of your chest. Half of it's exposed. Lin Yi pointed at Yushu. Yushu looked down. A corner of her wallet was exposed. This? Aren't you going to bring the thief to justice? I've caught him for you. Do you want me to send him to the police station? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Oh no, I don't want to go to jail. Yao Yao was the one who forced me to hide my wallet. It's not my fault. Yushu screamed. Meng Yao's eyes widened. Her heart was about to explode. What are you screaming for? Stop screaming. It's because your chest is too big. It squeezed out your wallet. Ah, you can't blame me, Yushu said pitifully. Huh. Since we've found the thief, let's go back for dinner. Linny smiled and didn't say anything. Sometimes, the miss was cuter than Shu. How could she come up with such a ridiculous idea? When they got home, Linny went to cook. Meng Yao, on the other hand, glared at Yushu. Look at you. You don't even know how to act. You got caught like this. Yao Yao, you can't blame me. The wallet came out on its own. Yushu said weakly. All right, let's not talk about this. You're pissing me off. Meng Yao was speechless. Who was the girl who talked to Linny today? I don't know. I've never seen her before. Yushu shook her head. Aren't you the spy 007? You don't know anything. Meng Yao shook her head. Lin Yi prepared an extra portion of food. He wanted to give it to Tang Yun when he went to the hospital. However, the miss found out. Linny, why did you make so much food? Will the three of us be able to finish it? Meng Yao was just pissed, so she asked casually. In fact, the miss usually didn't care about leftovers. I made an extra portion. I'll give it to Tang Yun when I go to the hospital. Linny didn't hide it. Chapter 6:11. Shoot to death. The miss didn't say anything during the meal. She lowered her head and dug in, wanting to finish the extra portion, but her appetite was limited. She couldn't eat anymore, so she turned to Yushu. Shu, go eat some more. But Yao Yao sis, I'm already full, Yushu said, holding her stomach. No, eat some more. Your breasts are too small. You need to enlarge them. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, signaling her with her eyes. Yushu didn't know what Yao Yao sis wanted, but seeing that she wanted to continue eating, Yushu could only stand up and get more food. But Meng Yao got there first, running to the kitchen and putting the leftover rice and vegetables on Yushu's plate. That's a lot. Yushu was shocked. Hurry up and eat. Your body is still growing. You need to eat more, Meng Yao said. Seeing that Yushu didn't move her chopsticks, she lowered her voice and whispered, If you listen to me, I'll let you be my second wife. Oh, okay. I'll eat then. Yushu was happy hearing that, so she made a difficult decision and picked up the chopsticks to eat with difficulty. Linny watched Yushu eat all the food bit by bit and stood up speechlessly. It seemed that the idea of bringing food for Tang Yun was gone. Yushu finished all the food and couldn't stand up anymore, lying on the sofa motionlessly. Linny told the miss and went to the hospital to visit Tang Yun. Meng Yao didn't have any reason to stop Lin Yi, and in fact, she couldn't. Seeing that Lin Yi was full of energy, Tang Yun was very happy. She was worried about Lin Yi's injury, but it seemed that he was fine now. You're here? Tang Yun ran down from the bed in surprise. Are you feeling better? Lin Yi wanted to hug Tang Yun, but Tang Yun shyly dodged. I'm fine now. My forehead doesn't hurt at all, Tang Yun said as she moved away from Lin Yi, afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be happy. This is a hospital room. There's a lot of people here. It'd be bad if Mom saw us. Haha. Lin Yi chuckled. I wanted to bring you some when I was cooking, but Yushu ate it all. Tang Yun didn't want a meal, but a thought from Lin Yi. As long as Lin Yi thought of her, she would be happy. She wanted to ask about the relationship between Lin Yi and Meng Yao, but she couldn't bring herself to do so. She was afraid that Lin Yi would think that she was petty. After a night of peace, the bold Tang Yun had returned to her original self. Without Meng Yao's provocation, it would be hard for her to do anything bold. It was embarrassing and shameful to think about it. Was she still the same person yesterday? Actually, I transferred to Songshan because my elders asked me to take care of Meng Yao. It's my job, Lin Yi explained before Tang Yun could ask. Lin Yi didn't wait for Tang Yun to ask and started explaining. He had to tell Tang Yun about this sooner or later. It was just a matter of time. Now that she had met up with the miss, Lin Yi told her everything he could. I've been living in Meng Yao's villa since the first day I transferred here. She rarely interferes with my personal matters, but maybe it was because I didn't tell her before I went to avenge you, so I pissed her off. Tang Yun didn't know what Lin Yi was thinking. Lin Yi told Tang Yun about his relationship with the miss, not hiding anything. After all, there was nothing to hide. Lin Yi told her the truth. Oh, I see. Tang Yun calmed down after listening to Lin Yi's detailed explanation. After all, Linny said that this was his job. He came to Songshan to take care of Mingyao. Yeah. Will you be angry if you know the truth? Linny asked. I'm not that petty. This is your job. Why would I interfere? Although Tang Yun said that, she still felt a little uncomfortable. After all, Linny was living under the same roof as Mingyao and Yushu. How could Tang Yun not care at all? It'll be fine when we get a dorm in university, Linny said. Right, yesterday, they said that you kissed them and touched them. Tang Yun was a little embarrassed. She paused and continued, and often, 3P? Linny was speechless. 3P? How is that possible? If I really did 3P with them, would they let me meet you? That's true. Tang Yun wasn't stupid. If Linny did 3P with the Miss and Shu every day, they would definitely keep a close eye on Lin Yi. How could they let him meet her? What about kissing and touching them? Tang Yun couldn't help but ask. Didn't I tell you? Mingyao drank my drink, so that counts as an indirect kiss. Linny smiled bitterly. Yushu, on the other hand, was drowning, and I was performing CPR on her. As for touching her, it was during CPR, really? Tang Yun asked, but she already believed Lin Yi. Yes, Linny nodded. Then can you take off the bandage on my head? Tang Yun asked. Lin Yi was taken aback. Tang Yun's thoughts were jumping a little too far, wasn't it? She was just asking about him and the Miss. Why was she asking about the bandage on her head now? Lin Yi didn't know that Tang Yun wanted to know if she was disfigured or not. If she was disfigured, Tang Yun was afraid that she wouldn't be able to compete with Meng Yao. Although Tang Yun didn't say it out loud, her woman's intuition told her that Meng Yao's behavior towards Lin Yi wasn't just like what Linny said, that she wanted to take revenge and didn't report to her. Yesterday in Fatty Lai's villa, Meng Yao's behavior could be interpreted as jealousy. Of course, Tang Yun wouldn't say it out loud if Linny didn't say it. It should be done. Let me take it off for you, Linny said as he reached out to take off the bandage on Tang Yun's head. Tang Yun, on the other hand, lowered her head and looked forward to the moment the bandage was taken off. Linny looked at Tang Yun's smooth forehead and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Although Linny was confident in his medicine, he was still a little nervous since it was related to Tang Yun. How is it? Tang Yun asked anxiously. Chapter 6:12. Next time knock. I don't dare. Tang Yun didn't dare to. She didn't want her dream to be destroyed. Haha, how would you know if you don't look? Linny smiled. This isn't like you. You wouldn't be this worried in the past, would you? Linny was right. Tang Yun wouldn't be this hesitant in the past. She was a girl who took responsibility for her actions. Tang Yun glared at Linny but didn't say anything. She thought, what difference does it make if I'm pretty or not? Not being pretty would save me a lot of trouble. But it was different now. If she wasn't pretty, would he still like her? However, under Lin Yi's persuasion, Tang Yun still walked in front of the mirror. She panicked and looked at herself in the mirror. She couldn't help but be shocked. The scar on her forehead was gone. There was only a shallow mark left. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it. This is new skin. It'll be different from before, but there won't be any difference after a few days, Linny explained. Is it really that magical? Tang Yun couldn't believe it. She had 8 stitches on her forehead. Although Linny removed them in the end, it was still a mess of flesh and blood. In just one day, she recovered to her original appearance. Was she dreaming? There's nothing magical about it. Dr. Kang's golden creation can achieve this effect a long time ago. Lin Yi didn't think that what he did was magical. Dr. Kang's golden creation. How can my family afford it? I've never used it before. How would I know? Tang Yun was so happy that she was hopping around the room like a little bird. When she saw her mother come in, Tang Yun jumped in fright and almost fell down. Lin Yi quickly supported Tang Yun. Tang Yun fell into Lin Yi's arms. Mrs. Tang came to check on her daughter's condition, afraid that she'd be depressed. After all, Mrs. Tang hadn't seen Lin Yi's medicine with her own eyes. She didn't know if Tang Yin could recover. She saw her daughter and Lin Yi being intimate. Mrs. Tang coughed awkwardly. I'm going out for a walk. Mom. Tang Yin was embarrassed as she struggled out of Lin Yi's embrace, not daring to look at Mrs. Tang. She was pissed off that she'd fallen when her mother opened the door and walked in, not daring to look at her. This was so embarrassing. Did her mother think that she was throwing herself into Lin Yi's arms? Haha, I'll knock first next time. Mrs. Tang thought to herself, my daughter is all grown up now. It looks like I'll have to be more careful in the future. I didn't think about this in the past, but now I realize that my daughter needs her own space. Of course, this was under the assumption that Mrs. Tang liked Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang wouldn't be as easygoing as she was with Lin Yi. She'd be more than happy to ruin things. Mom, what are you talking about? Tang Yin said a little awkwardly. The wound on my forehead healed. I was so happy that I almost fell down, and Lin Yi just helped me up a little. Tang Yin felt a bit guilty under her mother's gaze, so she couldn't speak with confidence. I understand, Mrs. Tang said as she looked at her daughter's expression. Tang Yin knew that the misunderstanding had deepened. Ani, Lin Yi didn't panic at all. He politely nodded to Mrs. Tang and asked, how's Uncle Tang's injury? He's much better. With the medicine you gave him, he doesn't feel any pain anymore. He's also taken the Chinese medicine. He looks good. In fact, Mrs. Tang didn't expect Tang Juqing to recover so quickly. He didn't feel any pain at all today, and it seemed like he was going to recover soon. Let's go see Uncle Tang, said Lin Yi. Yin, is the wound on your forehead really healed? At this time, Mrs. Tang walked closer and saw the wound on Tang Yun's forehead. There was only a shallow scar left. Other than that, there was nothing strange. The scar was so shallow that it couldn't be seen anymore. It would probably disappear after some time. Yes, I'm really fine now, Tang Yun said as she looked at Lin Yi shyly and said to her mother, Lil Yi's medical skills are really amazing. Mrs. Tang praised. She looked at Lin Yi with more and more admiration. She felt that her daughter was really lucky to have met Lin Yi. She wouldn't have to worry for the rest of her life, and his family's life would gradually get better. Mrs. Tang also saw the news. The collapse of Qibing's skyscraper was on TV. Although they didn't say the reason and only said that the quality of the construction wasn't up to standard, Mrs. Tang knew that things weren't that simple. How could it be so coincidental? Lin Yi just got his revenge on Zhao Qibing and his skyscraper collapsed because of the quality of the construction? How was that possible? Anyone with a brain would know that it was Lin Yi who collapsed it. At that time, Lin Yi asked Fatty Lai to find a bulldozer, trenching machine, and a demolition team. It would be weird if the skyscraper collapsed by itself. Even if Zhao Qibing was a black-hearted businessman and skimped on materials, he wouldn't skimp on his own office building. One had to know that he had to work in the skyscraper, and the skyscraper was the face of the company. If the quality of the office building wasn't up to standard, how could people buy his company's real estate? But Zhao Qibing had no other choice. In comparison, he couldn't afford to lose face. He would rather swallow his teeth and say that his skyscraper wasn't up to standard than admit that it was Lin Yi who demolished his skyscraper. Mrs. Tang was straightforward. Zhao Qibing demolished his house and Lin Yi went to demolish his skyscraper. He destroyed Tang Yun's face and broke Tang Juqing's legs. Lin Yi did the same, destroying his face and breaking his legs. Mrs. Tang wouldn't have dared to think of this in the past. Those people were rich and powerful. How could her family be their opponent? They suffered losses and had no way out. But it was different now. They had Lin Yi to protect them. Lin Yi followed Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun to Tang Juqing's ward. Tang Juqing was listening to the radio, and a rare smile appeared on his face when he saw Lin Yi. He was even more surprised when he saw that his daughter's forehead didn't seem to have any problems. Although Tang Juqing hadn't been to Tang Yun's room after she was admitted to the hospital, he knew how serious her injuries were. He saw his daughter's face covered in blood when they were being carried by the ambulance in front of their house in the shantytown. Chapter 6:13. Shu is going to die in, it's done. Tang Yun nodded. It's fine now. Lin Yi said that he's here to take a look at your injuries. Okay. Tang Juqing nodded happily. What do you want me to do? Uncle Tang, just lie down and you'll be fine. Lin Yi waved his hand, gesturing for Tang Juqing not to move as he walked over to check on Tang Juqing's injuries. Tang Juqing's broken legs should be able to recover very quickly under the care of Chinese medicine. However, his neurological problems were still the same. That meant that even if Tang Juqing's legs were healed, he would still be limping when he walked. Lin Yi frowned. This wasn't a good sign. Even if Tang Juqing could stand up, if he tried to do rehabilitation training and limped because of the neurological problems, it would affect the recovery of his legs. If he continued walking like this, the newly healed legs might become deformed. Even if his neurological problems were healed in the future, the recovery of his legs would be different, and he would still limp. What's wrong? Linny, is there a problem with my dad's illness? Tang Yun had been paying attention to Lin Yi's expression, and when she saw him frown, her heart skipped a beat. It's a bit troublesome. Lin Yi didn't hide it and explained his thoughts to Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang. He didn't hide it from Tang Juqing because it wasn't necessary. Then what should we do? Tang Yun was panicking, but Tang Juqing and Mrs. Tang weren't too worried, and Tang Juqing smiled instead. It's fine if he's limping. It's good enough that he can stand up. It's better than lying on the bed, right? Tang Juqing couldn't be blamed for being optimistic. In fact, he had been lying on the bed for so long. As long as he could stand up, he wouldn't care if he was limping or not. Being limping was better than being paralyzed, right? Mrs. Tang had the same thought. She didn't mind when Tang Juqing was paralyzed. So what if he was crippled? Originally, I wanted to wait until the end of the college entrance examination and let you go back with me to see my old man. Then, I would bring back the nerve-stimulating medicine, but now it seems that there is not enough time, Linny said. But it doesn't matter. I will find someone to send it over. How can I do that? Tang Juqing was flattered. Linny had to trouble others for his sake. Haha, it's nothing. Lin Yi thought of Gooden, his childhood playmate. He hadn't seen him in a long time, and now wasn't the time for harvest. He should have time. Dad, since Linny said so, then it's settled. Tang Yun saw that her father still wanted to say something, so she spoke first to finalize the matter. Naturally, Tang Yun didn't want her father to become a cripple. Even if she owed Linny a favor, it was her. She owed Linny a lot anyway, so she didn't care anymore. After this small misunderstanding, Tang Yun had thought it through. Repaying a favor with her body was a good way to repay a debt. Since Tang Yun had decided to follow Lin Yi, she could let him do whatever he wanted in the future. Thinking of this, Tang Yun couldn't help but blush. Yeah, old Tang, it's Lin Yi's sincerity. Don't say anything. Mrs. Tang didn't care about her husband being crippled, but she still hoped that her husband could be like a normal person. Lin Yi took out his phone and wanted to call her Gooden, but the moment he took it out, his phone rang. Lin Yi looked at the caller ID. It was Meng Yao. Yushu's stomach was round, and she couldn't get up from the sofa. At first, it was a little uncomfortable, but it was bearable. But after a while, it became more and more uncomfortable. Yao Yao, my stomach is so uncomfortable. Why is it so big? Am I pregnant? I'm so disgusted. Yushu laid on the sofa and whimpered weakly. How can you get pregnant from eating? Don't say that. Meng Yao was watching TV when she heard Shu's whining. She turned off the TV and walked over. Yao Yao, if you can get pregnant from drinking soda, why can't I get pregnant from eating? There's probably Shield Bro's saliva in it. Yushu said with a pale face. All right, stop it. Meng Yao couldn't help but feel embarrassed when the past was brought up. Did you eat too much? Do you want to go to the washroom? I haven't even digested it yet. How am I supposed to go? It's so uncomfortable. Yushu felt that her stomach was full and disgusting. In short, it was a mess. Wait, I'll go get some digestive pills for you. Meng Yao was regretting her actions after seeing Yushu's discomfort. She shouldn't have let her emotions get the better of her. She didn't know if a person could die from eating too much, but since there was the phrase die from eating too much, it was probably possible, right? Meng Yao panicked even more at the thought. She quickly went to get the pills. I'm not eating. I can't eat anymore. I'll explode if I eat anymore. Yushu couldn't eat anymore. Then what should we do? Meng Yao didn't know what to do. I'm going to die. I'm going to die again. I don't want to die. Yushu felt that she was really unlucky. She'd almost died 2 days ago, and now she was going to die again. Yao Yao, why'd you do this to me? I'm not trying to steal Shield Bro from you. I told you I'd be the second wife. You still want to get rid of me. Yushu felt really unlucky. She'd almost died 2 days ago, and now she was going to die again. Why would I do this to you? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Yushu's words. I don't like Linny at all. Why would I steal from you? I didn't want him to bring food for Tang Yun, That's why I made you eat all of it. Right, Linny, you? Hang in there. I'll call Linny. Meng Yao heard Yushu's words and immediately thought of Lin Yi. How could she forget about him? He should have a way to save Shu, right? Linny picked up Meng Yao's call and the miss screamed, Linny, where are you? Come back quickly. Shu can't hold on anymore. What? What did you say? Linny froze. Shu can't hold on anymore? What did she mean? Shu ate too much. She can't hold on anymore. She's going to die. Come back quickly. Meng Yao said urgently. Okay, I'll go back now. Linny sighed helplessly and hung up. Can't hold on anymore? Then why did she eat so much? She even ate Tang Yun's portion. Chapter 6:14. Yao Sis wants to assassinate me, yeah? Yushu ate too much. I heard that she's about to die from overeating. I'll go back and check. Linny sweated as he talked about it. What was going on? There were people who could die from overeating in this day and age? Tang Yun covered her mouth in surprise. She couldn't believe it. Did you eat too much? Overeating? Yeah, but it's not impossible for something like this to happen to Yushu. Linny smiled bitterly. I'll go back first. Right, I've already talked to Dean Chin about it. You guys can stay in the hospital for now. Otherwise, you won't have a place to stay after you leave the hospital. Director Chin of the hospital knew Lin Yi by now, and he knew that Linny had a special relationship with Guan Shumi. Since Linny had spoken up, Tang Yun and Tang Juqing could stay in the hospital even if they were discharged. It wasn't like Lin Yi didn't want to pay up anyways. He had already paid a huge deposit. There was no need for Dean Chin to kick them out. Mrs. Tang was a little annoyed at the mention of this. She was discussing with Tang Juqing whether or not they should buy a house first. The houses in Shanty Town had all collapsed and were uninhabitable. Fortunately, there was nothing valuable in them. The TV and refrigerator were bought when they got married. They were more than 10 years old and had long been worn out. It didn't matter if they were broken. As for furniture, there wasn't much. But since Linny had arranged for them to stay in the hospital, they didn't have to rush to buy a house. At least they had to observe the market first. They couldn't just blindly buy a house. He didn't think it was possible for Yushu to be stuffed to death, but he still drove back to the villa as fast as he could. He saw Yushu lying on the sofa, moaning nonstop, with Meng Yao beside her, holding her hand and comforting her. Yao sis, I really can't take it anymore. Why isn't Shield Bro here yet? Yushu cried. Soon. That damn Linny. He's staying at Tang Yun's place and doesn't want to leave? I don't know what's so good about Tang Yun. She's so much worse than our Shu. Meng Yao complained. Cough, cough. Linny broke out in a cold sweat and coughed twice. Although Tang Yun wasn't weaker than Yushu, the key was Yushu's identity. Would Lin Yi dare to touch her? She was eldest Miss Best Friend. How could there be such a comparison? Lin Yi thought to himself, if you give Yushu to me as my wife, I'll definitely bring her with me every day. Meng Yao heard Lin Yi's coughing and turned back to see Lin Yi. You still know to come back? Look, Shu is about to die. Go save her. Lin Yi looked at Yushu on the sofa, relieved to see that she wasn't dead yet. He frowned when he saw the bulging stomach, wondering if there was a perforation. Shield Bro, you're finally back. Sob sob. Yushu started crying. I feel so bad. Yao sis wants to assassinate me. No one wants to assassinate you. Are you hallucinating? Lin Yi turned to Meng Yao, confused. Why would Yushu say that she wanted to assassinate her? Could it be that Yushu ate some poisonous food and was hallucinating? Meng Yao blushed. Hurry up and save her. Don't ask so much. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, picked up Yushu, and flipped her over. Her head was facing the sofa, and he said to Meng Yao, help me open her mouth. Don't close it. Oh, okay. Meng Yao didn't dare to delay and quickly opened Yushu's mouth. Ah! Yushu couldn't help but cry out in pain. She thought to herself, why are you and Shield Bro trying to kill me? Are you trying to open my mouth and pull out my tongue? But she couldn't speak. What's your name? Meng Yao felt that Yushu's voice was similar to a certain voice, and she couldn't help but glare at her. Ah! Yushu couldn't speak with her mouth covered, and she couldn't make any sound other than awe. Hold it, it'll be fine soon. Lin Yi took a chopstick from the kitchen and started poking at Yushu's throat. Ah! Yushu felt a wave of nausea, and she finally vomited after being poked by Lin Yi. She hadn't digested her lunch yet, and she vomited it all over the floor, but Meng Yao's hands were all over it. The miss wasn't disgusted at all, but looked at Yushu with concern instead. "Shu, how do you feel?" Yushu started vomiting, and it didn't stop. She threw up almost everything in her stomach. "Woo, it's so uncomfortable, but it's much better now," Yushu said after she was done vomiting. That's good, that's good. I was scared to death." Meng Yao was scared as well. What if Yushu really died from overeating? "It's not a big deal. I just had nothing better to do." Linny shook his head. "You can't eat that much. Why did you still eat?" "Yao Yao made me eat." Yushu felt wronged, and she almost died. How could she not feel wronged? "Why did you make her eat so much?" Linny was a little pissed. This wasn't a joke, and it was fortunate that she was fine. Meng Yao didn't expect Linny to question her with a straight face, but Meng Yao was in the wrong, and she couldn't refute. "Yao Yao didn't want you to bring food for Tang Yun, so she made me eat it all," Yushu said honestly. Linny shook his head, speechless. It was pretty much what he expected. These two girls were too good at messing around. "Shu, stop it." Meng Yao was a little embarrassed. "You're very weak. Go back to your room and rest." "Oh." Yushu felt a little weak after hearing Meng Yao's words. "I can't walk, Yao Yao." Meng Yao wanted to carry Yushu upstairs, but she couldn't carry her. She hesitated and turned to Lin Yi. "Lin Yi, carry her upstairs." "Upstairs? Can I?" Lin Yi pointed upstairs. Meng Yao was the one who'd told him firmly not to go upstairs when he first came. "I'll allow this exception," Meng Yao said. "Just this once." "There's General Weiwu." Lin Yi looked at the staircase, and General Weiwu was still squatting there. Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao to find out that he wasn't afraid of General Weiwu. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain himself if he lost something upstairs. Chapter 6:15. Elder Chua? Oh. Lin Yi didn't expect Meng Yao to let Weiwu squat by the stairs every day, knowing that General Weiwu wasn't a threat to him. Lin Yi shook his head. In fact, Meng Yao made General Weiwu squat by the stairs to prevent thieves, not to prevent Lin Yi. Although she did guard against Lin Yi in the beginning, it wasn't necessary anymore. Meng Yao had seen through Lin Yi's character. He wouldn't bring General Weiwu up even if she asked him to. Meng Yao even hoped that he would sneak up and peek at her. At least that would prove her and Shu's charm. However, Lin Yi didn't go up. Although it was a little weird, the miss was stubborn. Why couldn't she win against Tang Yun? The miss pride took a huge hit. It wasn't the first time Lin Yi carried Yushu, so he didn't feel any burden. He carried Yushu and walked up the stairs. When he passed General Weiwu didn't even scream and moved to the side, lowering his head and not daring to look at Lin Yi. Meng Yao humphed and glared at Lin Yi. She just couldn't understand why Lin Yi wasn't afraid of General Weiwu. In fact, when she asked Lin Yi to go upstairs to connect the cable, Meng Yao had already suspected that General Weiwu wasn't a threat to Lin Yi. Otherwise, how could Lin Yi go up to the second floor? Until a few days ago, when Lin Yi brought General Weiwu to look for her, it made Meng Yao even more suspicious. Other than Faubert, General Weiwu couldn't even be ordered around by her daddy. How did Lin Yi get General Weiwu to go up the mountain? Because Faubert didn't come up, and only Lin Yi came to the cave alone. General Weiwu was obviously scared by Lin Yi, which was why it went to look for its master for protection. Meng Yao could see that. Lin Yi chuckled dryly, not replying as he quickly went up the stairs. "Don't look around when you're on the second floor. Follow me." Meng Yao led the way and led Lin Yi to her room. She opened the door and let Lin Yi carry Yushu in. The pink bedroom was very cozy. There were many pretty flowers on the wall, and there were some plush toys on the bed. Lin Yi put Yushu on the bed, but Meng Yao kicked him out of the room before he even had time to admire her beauty. Lin Yi shrugged, a little regretful. Not many people would be able to enter the Miss Room, right? After all, not many people could enter the Miss Room. Since Meng Yao didn't let him look around, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't take the initiative to peek. He walked out of Meng Yao's room and went downstairs. He cleaned up Yushu's vomit on the sofa and returned to his room. Lin Yi called Old Lin and reported to him what happened in Songshan. Of course, there was also good news. He had leveled up. He was now at the early phase of the mystic class. Old Lin's attitude was still indifferent. He didn't congratulate him, nor did he say anything else. He only told him to stay in House Chu. But when he was about to leave, he said to Linny, "If there's a chance, go and get in touch with House Chu's old man." House Chu's old man? Uncle Chu? Or Uncle Chu's father? Linny asked, slightly startled. His father. Old Lin didn't beat around the bush with Linny. If there's a chance, get in touch with him. If there's no chance, don't create one. There will always be a chance. Linny listened to Old Lin's words. Why did it sound so weird? Was it a Zen? Was there a hidden meaning behind it? But Linny remembered it in his heart. Haha, nothing. Old Lin smiled faintly. Kid, you didn't call me out of the blue just to report something, did you? I remember that you don't have the habit of reporting to me unless there's something important. There is indeed something, Linny said. Old man, do you still have the medicine that stimulates the nerves when I trained? I think there's some left. Why do you need it? Old Lin asked. Yes, I do. I have 2 friends with mental problems, Linny said. Or you can give me the recipe and I'll make some myself. Linny hadn't studied this medicine before because it wasn't useful to Linny, and it was hard to make. If you're making it, there are probably a few ingredients that aren't easy to get. I planted them myself, Old Lin said. I have some finished medicine here. If you want to use it, you can come and get it. I'll ask Herr Gooden to send it over, Linny said. I'll call him later. That's fine. Old Lin wasn't stingy with these things, because they weren't that important. When he gave it to Linny to train, he made a whole vat of it. Linny wanted to send it over by courier, but this was a serious matter. Linny was worried that something might go wrong, so he might as well ask Herr Gooden to send it over. Linny missed this childhood friend as well. All these years, Linny didn't have a fixed place to stay. Other than doing missions, he didn't have a place to stay. Every time he went back, Herr Gooden would listen to Linny talk about the outside world. He wished that he could go out, but Linny never had the chance to bring him out. Herr Gooden's family was very poor. In fact, the village that Linny lived in wasn't rich at all. The only place that could be considered rich was the village head's family, with a fish pond. There was also Widow Wang's family at the entrance of the village, with a snack bar and grocery store. Then there was Linny's family. Of course, Linny's family's source of income came from Linny's straw hats and sandals. Linny's hands and feet were nimble, and he worked fast. Although many people in the village did this, Linny's daily output was 4 to 5 times that of these people. How could he not be rich? In fact, this so-called rich was just being able to buy a laptop and eat at Widow Wang's snack bar. Linny didn't know where all the money from all those missions went, but the old man didn't mention it, and Linny didn't mention it. They weren't father and son, but they were closer than father and son, and Linny didn't mind. Comparatively speaking, Herr Gooden's family was very poor. They relied on farming for a living, and they didn't even have a phone. Herr Gooden always wanted to leave the mountains and see the outside world, and Linny promised him that he would bring him to see the world. Chapter 616. Childhood friends. Linny called Widow Wang's house at the entrance of the village. Hello? Star West Village, who are you looking for? Widow Wang's village accent came through the phone. Aunt Wang, I'm Old Lin's Lil E. Can you call Herr Gooden for me? Linny said. Old Lin's Lil E? Wait here. I'll go get him now. Widow Wang replied and put down the phone. Star West Village wasn't big, and basically everyone knew each other. Everyone bought things from Widow Wang, so Widow Wang was more than happy to have people come to her place to answer the phone. Widow Wang's shop was right next to the village, and there was a loudspeaker inside. In the village, you basically had to shout to find someone. The loudspeaker could even wake someone up in the middle of their sleep. Herr Gooden, it's Aunt Wang. Come and answer the phone. Widow Wang yelled through the loudspeaker and returned to the shop. Not long after, a man as strong as a bull ran into the shop. He was Herr Gooden, 185 tall. He stood in front of the shop like a wall. Aunt Wang, my phone? Herr Gooden ran a kilometer away from home, but his face wasn't red, and his heart wasn't racing. He wasn't even out of breath. One look and you could tell that his body wasn't normal. It's Lily. Hurry up, it's a long-distance call. It's very expensive. Widow Wang pointed at the phone on the table. Linny, bro. Gooden rubbed his hands together excitedly when he heard Lin Yi's name. I'm Gooden. Ah, Gooden. Linny smiled. Are things busy at home? It's good. We planted the seeds a while ago, and now they're weeding and fertilizing. We're just waiting for the autumn harvest. We'll probably have a good harvest this year. Gooden said. Not bad. Do you have a girlfriend? Linny asked with a smile. Who'd like me? Gooden smiled. My family's so poor, and I don't look good. I'll be a bachelor for the rest of my life. If you have nothing to do during this period, come to my house. My old man has my address. You can help me bring some things over. It's a good opportunity to see the world, Linny said with a smile. Ah, really? That's great. Gooden heard that Linny wanted him to go to a big city and see the world, and he couldn't be happier. Then I'll leave after finishing the farm work at home. But Linny, bro, we haven't had the harvest yet. We don't have any travel expenses. Gooden and Lin Yi grew up together, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. No money was no money. It wasn't shameful. Haha, my old man will help you prepare the travel expenses. If you need anything, just tell me before you leave, Linny smiled. You don't have to be so polite with me. Of course, you're my Linny, bro. Of course I won't be polite. Gooden was like this since he was young. Other than his dad, he only listened to Lin Yi. So in his eyes, Lin Yi and his dad were on the same level. It was natural for Lin Yi to give him money. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. He didn't know how many years it had been since he played with Gooden. The days of catching fish and prawns together were long gone. Even after he hung up, Lin Yi was still immersed in his memories. There were 3 times in his life when he was the happiest. The first time was when he was young. At that time, he hadn't gone on a mission yet. He was still learning medicine from his old man, training his body. He didn't have many missions a day, and when he was free, he would catch fish and prawns with Gooden. It was a very carefree life. The second time was in the training camp, with his teammates. He was the captain of the team, and he brought the other 6 teammates to overcome all obstacles and stand out. That time was hard and tiring, but it was also the most fulfilling. It seemed tense, but there wasn't the danger of a real mission. There was only the trust and friendship between teammates. Second brother, third brother, fourth brother, fifth brother, sixth brother, and seventh brother. Where are you now? Are you doing well? Are you busy with missions all over the world? Linny shook his head. His teammates had gone their separate ways after leaving the training camp, and he hadn't seen each other since. The third time was when Linny was in Songshan. Although he didn't know who his enemies were, and there were always some small troubles, these days of freedom made Lin Yi really happy. He hoped that it would never end. Of course, other than these 3 happy times, Linny also had a lot of painful times. One of them wasn't painful, but at least it was painful and happy at the same time. It was also a rare time. It was also during that time that he met young Huijuan, Armadillo, and Ning. It was also because of Ning that this time was forcefully erased from Lin Yi's memory. It was also the reason why Lin Yi chose to run away when he first met young Huijuan. Until now, Lin Yi didn't know why he rejected Ning so decisively. Was it because of the huge power behind her, or was it because he couldn't give her a stable life? Lin Yi never thought that he would retire one day, and he didn't think that he would retire at such a young age. Lin Yi didn't know what his old man was thinking. He suddenly brought him to Songshan to do a special mission that would give him a lifetime's worth of food. This was a huge deal. Lingshan flipped through the case files on her desk. The kidney trafficking organization seemed to have been a lot more restrained recently. Ever since the transit station was destroyed, they seem to have become a lot more careful. However, they didn't stop their crimes because they moved their targets and locations to the outskirts of the city. In this week, there were already 2 cases of widowed farmers being murdered. It was the same method, but the locations were more unpredictable. One of the 2 victims was a villager from Yazi village in the east of the city, and the other was a villager from Shunbu village in the west. One in the east and one in the west, tens of kilometers away from each other. There was no pattern at all. Even if they sent out the police force to keep watch, it was impossible to cover the hundreds of villages around the city with police officers. Putting aside the fact that the police force was not enough, even if it was enough, they couldn't possibly stop the entire police station and keep watch over the kidney trafficking organization, right? Lingshan felt like a coward. She'd cracked a couple of big cases since she'd been appointed, and she'd received praise and recognition from the leaders of the province, but she knew what was going on. She didn't have the face to say how she'd cracked the cases. Chapter 617. Ling Shan's pursuer. It wasn't that Ling Shan was a coward. It was just that she had arrived at the right time. Big cases kept popping up as soon as she took over. When Huaijuan was the captain, there were a few criminal groups as well, but they were all gangsters, bag robbers, thieves, and the like. These cases were big, but they weren't as complicated as they were now. Ling Shan, on the other hand, was a special forces soldier, and she had no place to use her skills. How could she not be frustrated? When Ling Shan came back, she was filled with ambition and wanted to show off her ambitions. Her dream of fighting with the gangster and taking him down didn't come true. In fact, it wasn't that she didn't have the chance to fight with the gangster, and there were quite a few of them, but how many of them could Ling Shan meet by herself? Even if she fought with criminals, how many strong ones were there? How many criminals could have the strength of a golden class? Ling Shan was a golden class mid-phase, and even in House Song, one of the four noble houses, she was the leader of the younger generation. If she wanted criminals to have golden class strength, she wouldn't need to be a criminal anymore. She could just be a bodyguard of some rich man and earn a lot. Why would she need to rob? What a headache. Why did these criminals keep coming in waves? Why did they have to do it in Songshan? Before the kidney trafficking organization appeared, Songshan did have an underground organ trade market, but because it was an underground trade, and it was done after both parties agreed on the price, no one reported it to the police. As long as these people didn't cross the line, Ling Shan wouldn't interfere. She couldn't do anything about it. But now, they were kidnapping people and selling their kidneys. She couldn't just ignore it. But these people seemed to have a very strict organization, and it wasn't easy to take them out at once. It was already very difficult to destroy just one lair. The main problem was that these people had doctors and operating tables in their hands, and they didn't need to go through the proper medical system or clinics. The kidneys weren't sold locally either, and according to Ling Shan's understanding, there hadn't been a single kidney transplant patient that was bought from this group. Of course, there were people who bought kidneys from the black market, but they also went through unscrupulous intermediaries. Then, they negotiated the price with the kidney seller in private, and the kidney transplant surgery was carried out in a regular hospital. The unscrupulous intermediaries only received an intermediary fee of 10 to 20,000 yuan. They had gotten rid of quite a few of these black intermediaries, but they were all small fries. They were of no help to the progress of the case. Ring dash, Ling Shan's phone rang. Ling Shan's ringtone wasn't like those young men and women's, it was the most common default ringtone. It also suited her profession and personality, being more mature. Hello, I'm Ling Shan from the Criminal Investigation Team. Ling Shan answered the phone out of habit. It was an unknown number, and she didn't have a contact book. Ling Shan? A rough male voice sounded from the other side of the phone. I'm Chen Yutian. Oh, Chen Yutian? Ling Shan paused, frowning imperceptibly. What's wrong? Chen Yutian smiled bitterly after hearing the coldness in Ling Shan's voice. Ling Shan, I'm going back to Songshan tomorrow. I have a mission. Can we have a meal together? I'm busy with the case, I don't have time. Ling Shan rejected Yutian's suggestion. I see. Yutian sighed. Can we meet once? I really do have a case. Is there something important that you want to talk to me about? If not, I don't want to delay my work. Ling Shan said faintly. Can't we meet if there's nothing important? We're old friends, childhood sweethearts. You can't just not give me face, can you? Yutian said helplessly. Chen Yutian, please watch your words. It's true that we're old friends, but childhood sweethearts are out of the question. Ling Shan corrected him. Chen Yutian, I know what you're thinking. It's not that I'm not giving you a chance. It's your own fault. Who can you blame? Ling Shan, aren't you just making things difficult for me? You're one of the best in the younger generation of the noble houses, and you're already golden class mid-phase. I just broke through. When will I ever catch up to you? Yutian smiled bitterly. You know what I'm like. I've always wanted to be strong since I was young, and my man has to be stronger than me. Otherwise, do you think he'll have a good life? Ling Shan couldn't help but feel proud. Chen Yutian, I gave you a chance to challenge me, but you didn't take it. I even said that you can challenge me anytime before I have a boyfriend. If you're here to challenge me, I can meet you. If not, then I'm sorry, I'm not free. Lingshan, as far as I know, other than House Yu, Wu Chintian from House Wu is also a golden class early phase. Are you saying that you won't marry if there's no one stronger than you? Yu Tian couldn't help but ask. How do you know that there aren't any masters other than the noble houses? Lingshan asked back. She didn't know why, but Lingshan suddenly thought of Lin Yi. She didn't know where that guy got his kung fu from, but why was he so strong? I don't seem to be his opponent. Moreover, I still have to humble myself and pretend to be Miss Braindead in front of him. He's really as abominable as he can be. But she was in his hands, unable to fight back. Was this still her personality? She was the Miss of House Song, and she was going to be taken advantage of by him? This was too humiliating. And so, Lingshan decided not to think about him. She couldn't think about him, because thinking about him made her angry. Yu Tian was speechless. He didn't dare say that there weren't any masters outside of the noble houses, because he knew that there were masters outside of the noble houses. But since Lingshan didn't want to see him, there was no point in saying anything. Asking Yu Tian to challenge Lingshan now was the same as asking for a beating. He couldn't afford to lose that face. Chapter 6:18. Yushu's brother, right? I want to tell you a very unfortunate piece of news. I think I've reached the barrier to the late phase of the golden class, and I'm looking for a chance to break through. Lingshan said faintly, if you want to chase me, then work hard. Of course, you can give up, because I don't have much feelings for you. Yu Tian almost threw the phone away when he heard Lingshan's words. Late phase of the golden class? Was Lingshan that strong? How did House Song have a genius like her? Yu Tian took in a breath of cold air. If Lingshan could reach golden class late phase at such a young age, then House Song's position would definitely skyrocket, and Lingshan's marriage would be even more important. Who knew what kind of marriage Old Song would arrange for Lingshan to get married then? Perhaps, if they knew that Lingshan had broken through to the late phase of the golden class, then House Yu would come to see her. All right, I'll work hard. Yu Tian was in despair this time. The gap wasn't small at all, and there was no point in being angry. I'm busy, bye. Lingshan didn't say much and hung up. She didn't have any feelings for Yu Tian, so she purposely said that she was going to break through to the late phase of the golden class. In reality, she had just reached the middle phase peak, and there was still some distance to the late phase. Lingshan said that because she wanted Yu Tian to give up. She didn't like Yu Tian's personality. She was a strong person herself, but she liked men who were stronger. It was only with men like this that she was willing to let him come to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't feel comfortable. After failing to get a date with Lingshan, Yu Tian thought about his old playmates, Jiang Wen and Su Taizao. The fourth young master didn't come to Songshan often, so he didn't get to see them often. Jiang Wen and Taizao had called earlier, wanting to hold a banquet to welcome him, but Yu Tian didn't agree right away. He asked Lingshan if she was free first. The four young masters of Songshan were nothing more than a joke to Yu Tian now. They were just a bunch of kids, relying on their family's power to think they were invincible. There was nothing to be proud of. Since he'd chosen the other path, the distance between him and Jiang Wen, Taizao, and the others would only grow bigger and bigger. Although they used to be playmates, they had become estranged from each other. There was no longer the feeling of drinking and fooling around together. The Yu Tian now was much more mature than before, and this was also because of Lingshan's rejection that he had no choice but to walk this path. Thinking about it back then was indeed very difficult, but now that he had walked over, he realized that his choice was correct. Only by doing what he was doing could he be considered a man of indomitable spirit. Although the four young masters of Mount Songshan had been awe-inspiring, what use was that? Those empty reputations didn't belong to him. Even if they did, they would be cursed. It seemed like the gap between him and Lingshan was getting bigger and bigger. Yu Tian smiled bitterly. He understood that with Lingshan's personality, normal men wouldn't be able to tame her. They weren't her match in terms of martial arts. Even if she forced herself to be with him due to her family's pressure, Yu Tian believed that he wouldn't be able to suppress Lingshan in the future. Just like Lingshan said, he wouldn't even be able to do it. His phone rang, and Yu Tian looked at it. It was Jiang Wen. He'd already rejected the invitation yesterday, but Jiang Wen was still so persistent. Of course, Yu Tian knew exactly what Jiang Wen was thinking. He was inviting him to a banquet, and he had to bring his sister Yu Shu. If his sister went, Meng Yao would naturally go as well. As Meng Yao's pursuer, Jiang Wen would naturally use this opportunity to get close to Meng Yao. He was just a stepping stone. Yu Tian knew very well that his life was getting further and further away from Jiang Wen. They weren't on the same path at all, and their relationship wasn't that good at all. Hello, second brother. Yu Tian picked up the phone, but he still called Jiang Wen second brother. He was the second of the 4 young masters of Mount Songshan. Tian bro, how is it? Have you arranged everything? Do you have time tomorrow night? Do me the honor of meeting us brothers at Starlight Resplendent? Jiang Wen asked with a smile. Yu Tian's reason yesterday was that he didn't know the schedule yet, and he didn't know if he had time. Haha, all right, tomorrow night it is then. I'll contact you then. Yu Tian accepted Jiang Wen's invitation because he couldn't get a date with Ling Shan. All right, see you then. Jiang Wen was overjoyed. As long as he invited Yu Tian, Yu Shu wouldn't come. As long as Yu Shu came, Meng Yao would definitely come. He never had a chance to get close to Meng Yao, and Meng Yao didn't want to give him one either. Now, he could officially invite Meng Yao and Yu Shu. How is it, and bro? Is it done, and bro? Tai Zhao asked anxiously. It's done. We'll go visit Meng Yao and Yu Shu now, and ask them to come to our banquet tomorrow night. Jiang Wen nodded with a smile. And bro, this is a good opportunity. I think you should use this chance to confess to Meng Yao. Tai Zhao said. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's true. Do you have any good ideas? It wouldn't be good for me to confess to her, would it? Jiang Wen frowned. But you're right, Meng Yao's attitude towards me is a little hard to understand. She's not as friendly as she was the first time we met at the theme park. Is she blaming me for not pursuing her well enough? Maybe I should prepare some flowers for her tomorrow? That's possible, Tai Zhao said. But forget about flowers. Girls all care about their face. You can't just go after her without doing anything, can you? But you can't be too intense and put her on the spot. It's like in many situations, girls like you pursuing them, but they don't want you to force them too much. She enjoys the process of you pursuing her, and she doesn't want to say yes right away. That's why kneeling down and begging is basically forcing people to make a decision. As long as the girl doesn't really like him, she'll reject him for sure. Even if she likes him a little, she can't just say yes right away. Chapter 619. Jiang Wen's visit. And so, Jiang Wen was thinking that if he were to confess with flowers, Meng Yao might really reject him outright. Their relationship would be strained like that, and it wouldn't look good if he tried to pursue her in the future. Then what do you think I should do? And bro, why don't you say something drunk? An idea came to Tai Zhao. You drink some wine and confess your feelings to Meng Yao. If Meng Yao likes you, she'll be very shy and even want to make sure that you're just talking nonsense after drinking, or that you really mean it. Of course, if Meng Yao doesn't want you to confess, you can just say that you said something drunk. She won't hold it against you, right? It won't be so awkward when they meet again. That's a good idea, Tai Zhao. But you need to help me out tomorrow. Jiang Wen nodded. Shall we go to Meng Yao's house now? Yes, and bro, don't worry. I'll create a suitable opportunity for you tomorrow. Just confess your feelings then. Tai Zhao patted his chest as he promised. Lin Yi wasn't expecting Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao to come at this time. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the two. And bro, what brings you here at this time? Shu's not feeling well. She's resting upstairs. Lin Yi didn't know if Jiang Wen was here for Meng Yao or for him, so he decided to ask. Haha, we're here for Shu. Since she's sick, then we have to pay her a visit. Jiang Wen smiled. Tai Zhao, go buy some fruits. Okay, and bro. Tai Zhao picked up the car keys and left, leaving Jiang Wen standing in front of the villa. Wait a minute, I'll go ask Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was just pretending to be polite to Jiang Wen, since he wanted to use him to deal with Pinliang. He didn't care too much about him and just left him at the door. Meng Yao was already in the living room when Lin Yi got back to the villa, evidently having heard the doorbell as well. Lin Yi, who's here? Is it Faubert? No, it's Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. I don't know what they're up to. Lin Yi pointed at the door behind him. Brother Jiangwen? Why is he here again? Meng Yao's tone was courteous, but it was clear that she didn't want Jiangwen to be a guest at her house. How would I know? But they said they were looking for Shu. Lin shrugged. Yao Yao, let them in. My brother will be back tomorrow. They're probably here because of this, right? Yushu came downstairs as well. She was behind Meng Yao, standing by the stairs. I thought it was Faubert bringing food. I'm so hungry. I want to eat to my heart's content. Hungry? You're hungry again? You want to eat to your heart's content again? Linny was speechless. She just threw up, and now she was hungry again? Eat to her heart's content again? He didn't know what this Yushu was made of. Did she forget the pain after the wound healed? Yeah. My stomach's so empty. I'm growling. Yushu rubbed her stomach as she complained. I puked out too much earlier. It'd be better if I didn't puke out so much. Why don't you eat what you threw up? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, finding the topic disgusting. Oh, that's enough for the two of us. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao was about to throw up. She was quite hungry, but now she had no appetite at all. Linny went to open the door, and Jiangwen walked in with a smile on his face. He wasn't overly enthusiastic when he saw Meng Yao, only nodding to her. Yao Yao, I heard that Shu's sick. I'm not sick. Yao Yao just set me up. Yushu was interrupted by Meng Yao. She just has a stomach flu. It's nothing. She'll be fine after throwing up. Meng Yao wouldn't let Yushu talk nonsense. Oh, I see. Jiangwen could tell from Meng Yao's tone that she didn't want to talk about it anymore. Shu, Tian Bro will be back tomorrow. Tai Zhao and I will hold a feast to welcome him. You should come too. Your brother hasn't seen you for a long time, right? Okay. Yushu agreed without thinking too much. After all, she hadn't seen her brother for a long time. There was no reason not to go. Meng Yao was a little annoyed. Why did Yushu agree just like that? If she went, how could she not go? Didn't Jiangwen invite Chen Yutian or him? Only Jiangwen himself would know the answer. Yao Yao, you're coming too? Jiangwen smiled. Linny, are you free tomorrow? Meng Yao didn't answer Jiangwen's question. She turned to Linny and said, You come with us. Okay. Linny replied faintly. Jiangwen wasn't too happy about Linny going with him, but Meng Yao being able to go was already good enough. He couldn't afford to cause more trouble. If he didn't let Linny go, Meng Yao would be pissed off and refuse to go. That wouldn't be fun. He smiled. Haha, Yao Yao, I was going to invite Linny bro, even if you didn't ask. We're good friends. Is there anything else? Meng Yao looked at Jiangwen. Jiangwen knew that Meng Yao was asking him to leave, but he didn't want to. He still wanted to stay a little longer. Let's wait for Tai Zhao. He went to buy fruits, and Shu's sick. As her brother, we can't come empty-handed, can we? Oh, tell him to buy some more then. I'm starving. Yushu ordered after hearing that Tai Zhao was going out to buy food. Okay, I'll call him now. Jiangwen's eyes brightened. He finally had a reason to stay a little longer. Afraid that Meng Yao would interfere, Jiangwen quickly took out his phone and dialed Tai Zhao's number. Tai Zhao, Shu's hungry. Go buy some fruits and some dinner too. Go to a few more places and buy a few more dishes. Don't go too little. Jiangwen's hint was very clear. As long as Tai Zhao wasn't an idiot, he'd know what he meant. He wanted Tai Zhao to stay a little longer and not come back immediately. Chapter 620. Chapter 620. Chu Pengzhan's phone. No rush. No rush. We can't rush even if there's a traffic jam, right? Safety first. Jiangwen smiled faintly, praising Tai Zhao's teamwork. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, annoyed at her for being a busybody. Couldn't she have asked Lin Yi to cook for her if she wanted to eat? What was she supposed to ask Tai Zhao to buy? Now that this guy was here and not leaving, how annoying was he? Yushu knew that she was in trouble, and she pouted. But she had an idea. She looked at the time. Jiangwen only had 7 minutes left to flirt with Yao Yao. Jiangwen kept on talking in front of Meng Yao, and Meng Yao kept on talking to him. Linny, naturally, didn't feel like staying here any longer, and went back to his room. Jiangwen wouldn't be able to do anything in the villa, and Lin Yi didn't have to keep an eye on him. Oh, it's time for the cartoon. Today's Saturday, the theatrical version of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf. Yushu jumped up from the sofa and turned on the TV, changing the channel with the remote. As expected, the familiar music of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf came from the TV. Jangwon had long since gotten used to Yushu's crazy personality. Yushu was pretty, but who could resist a personality like that? Luckily, the one he liked was Mingyao. Otherwise, he'd be screwed if he got together with Yushu. Jangwon ignored Yushu and kept on talking to Mingyao. Hey, stop talking. I can't hear you. Yushu waved her hand at Jangwon impatiently. Why are you so rude? They're watching TV. Jangwon was about to explode. What did his words have to do with Yushu? But he couldn't afford to piss Yushu off, so he didn't dare talk back. First of all, Yushu was from House Chin, a noble house's descendant. Even if he had the backing of the Fire Wolf Gang, he couldn't represent the Fire Wolf Gang. He also didn't have the guts to go against the Chen family. Secondly, Yushu was still Mengyao's best friend even if the Fire Wolves were to support him. If he pissed her off, he'd never be able to pursue Mingyao in the future. Yao Yao, let's talk over there? Jangwon held in his breath, still maintaining the smile on his face as he pointed at the restaurant. I want to watch the cartoon too. I haven't seen this episode yet. Mingyao pointed at the TV. Watch it with us. Wow. Jangwon almost jumped up from his seat. How old was he? Watching cartoons. If word of this got out, wouldn't he be laughed at to death? This was the first time Mingyao invited him to do something with her. Watching TV was like watching a movie, wasn't it? He'd just take it as Mingyao asking him to watch a movie. With that thought, Jangwon calmed down. Sure, let's watch it together then. Watching cartoons, of course, meant that he couldn't talk. Jangwon hadn't watched this series before, and he couldn't focus on it at all. He could only sit there and watch. He felt that time was getting too long. Why wasn't this Taizao back yet? He'd be able to get out of this situation if he came back. What a blunder. If he knew that Yushu wanted to watch cartoons, he wouldn't have stayed here. He might as well just leave. Jangwon couldn't take it anymore and went outside to call Taizao. Where are you? Why aren't you back yet? Buying food for a year? And bro, didn't you tell me to go back later? Taizao had parked his car by the roadside, leisurely smoking as he enjoyed the night view. Jangwon's shout startled him. All right, hurry up and come back. Hurry up, Jangwon said, a little troubled. See, Yao Yao? I'm good, aren't I? Yushu said proudly. Haha, at least you're smart. Otherwise, I'd be annoyed to death by him. Mingyao felt that her best friend wasn't stupid at all. In fact, she was very smart. It was just that her way of expressing herself was a little different. Taizao came back soon with a bunch of fruits and bento. Yushu invited Jangwon to watch TV and eat together, but Jangwon shamelessly rejected her. He couldn't take it anymore. What was the point of staying here if he couldn't talk to Mingyao? Go get Linny and tell him to eat with us. Mingyao opened the bento Taizao bought and placed it on the coffee table after Jangwon and Taizao left. Taizao had bought a total of 5 bento boxes, all of them quite high quality. It shouldn't be cheap, and he and Jangwon were included as well. Of course, they wouldn't be able to eat it. Oh, Yushu was salivating as she looked at the bento on the coffee table. She didn't even want to stand up. She wanted to eat it right away. Mingyao saw that Yushu wasn't reacting and sighed helplessly. She got up and called Lin Yi, knocking on Lin Yi's door twice. Lin Yi, come eat. Mingyao didn't know why she had to call Lin Yi. Perhaps it was because he cooked for her and Shu every day, and she couldn't just call him when she was eating? That would be too ungrateful. They're gone. Lin Yi was lying on the bed, texting Tang Yin, telling her that he'd contacted Air Gooden and that the medicine would be here soon. He told her not to worry about Juqing's injuries. Let's go. Taizao bought some bento. Do you want some? Mingyao pointed at the bento on the coffee table. Yeah, we don't have to prepare dinner tonight anyway. Lin Yi walked out with Mingyao. Faubert usually wouldn't bring food over on Saturdays, so Lin Yi had to think of ways to solve the problem. When Lin Yi sat on the sofa, Yushu was almost done with the bento box. She didn't look like she was going to stop. Don't eat too much, or you'll die from overeating, Lin Yi reminded. No more. Mingyao was worried that Yushu would get into trouble again. She put away the 2 bento boxes, afraid that Yushu would eat them too. Oh, okay. Yushu felt wronged, but she didn't dare disobey. She didn't want to overeat again. After dinner, Linny cleaned up the bento boxes and put the remaining 2 in the fridge. He'd heat them up for breakfast tomorrow. After he was done, he got a call from Pengzhan. Uncle Chu? Linny picked up. What's up? Yeah, 2 things. Pengzhan said. Yao Yao isn't with you, is she? Is it convenient to talk? Chapter 621. I have Shield Brolin glanced at Meng Yao and Yushu, who were watching cartoons in the living room. He lowered his voice and said, They're watching cartoons in the living room. If there's anything, just tell me, Uncle Chu. All right, the first thing is about you. Pengzhan didn't beat around the bush and said, Sihua came to me today and asked me about your injury and background. I didn't say anything, but I don't know if he guessed anything from my vague words. I don't think Zhao Qibing will let this go so easily. He's definitely going to do something to you. You have to be prepared. Ask about me? Linny smiled. It's nothing. Just ask then. If they want to do something to me, they can come to me. Linny was a little wary of the people around Zhao Qibing, but he wasn't afraid of them. Although he was injured quite badly from the fight, he had the Jade training space. Linny didn't believe that Uncle Zhu had something like that. Even if he used a large amount of treasures, he wouldn't be able to recover without at least a year and a half, according to what Zhao Lao said. So Lin Yi wasn't afraid of Zhao Qibing's revenge at all. Send as many masters as you want. I'll run after we're both injured. I'll run back, and when I've recovered the next day, I'll continue to fight with the masters around you. I don't believe that you have an endless supply of masters around you. Let's see if you can still be happy when all your masters are lying on the bed. With the Jade space, as long as Lin Yi didn't meet a particularly strong master, Lin Yi would have nothing to fear. No matter what, you still have to be careful. Pengzhan knew that Lin Yi had a certain level of confidence after hearing his words. He wasn't as worried as before. I don't want anything to happen to you. Don't worry, Uncle Chu. If I can't win, I'll run. Lin Yi didn't think that running away was embarrassing at all. What was there to be embarrassed about? If he couldn't win, then he would be the one with the problem. Then I'm relieved. Pengzhan nodded and continued. Secondly, I want you to help me find out why Yao Yao went to that MT Shuangyan with Zhong Pingliang. I was in a hurry, so I didn't ask about it. I wanted to ask about it yesterday, but something happened to you yesterday, so I didn't mention those unhappy things again. So, I asked you to help me ask about it. I really don't know about this matter, Linny said. I'll find time to ask about it and then call you. There's no rush. There's no need to ask specifically. We'll talk about it when we have the chance. Pengzhan didn't want to interfere with his daughter's private life too much. She was a grown-up, after all, and she wasn't that gullible. There had to be a reason why she followed Pinliang up the mountain. All right, I'll find a chance to ask her. Linny nodded, feeling that it wasn't a good idea to ask Ming Yao about this. Yuqian didn't give up and called Lingshan after he got out of the toll booth. But Lingshan's tone was cold. Chun Yuqian, you're back? What's up? Lingshan had saved this number in her phone yesterday, but to Yuqian, it was only a friendship. Nothing. I just wanted to tell you that I'm back. Yuqian always felt pressured in front of Lingshan. Lingshan's dominance made him uncomfortable, but he couldn't bring himself to resist. Oh, I understand, Lingshan said faintly. Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. You really don't have time tonight? Yuqian asked after some hesitation. No, I'm busy. Bye. Lingshan didn't wait for Yuqian to reply and hung up the phone. Yuqian laughed at himself and called Jiangwen. 2, where are you? Tai Zhao and I are at Starlight Hotel, VIP room number 1 on the 5th floor. Shu and Yao Yao will be here tonight. Jiangwen said with a smile. All right, I'll be there in a bit. Yuqian sighed. Jiangwen was using him as an excuse to get close to Ming Yao. How could Yuqian not know about this? But it seemed like his sister didn't have many pursuers. Yuqian used to be afraid that people would harass his sister and affect her life, but she was 18 now. She was about to go to university. Wasn't it weird that no one was pursuing her? But thinking about his sister's personality, Yuqian sweated. With that personality of hers, there weren't many men who could get along with her, right? She was either a prank, or she was just an idiot. That Wu Shaoqin had only been fooled by Yushu's appearance back then. If he'd known Yushu's personality, He wouldn't have dared to make a move so easily. If he brought Yushu home, it would be fine if she liked him, but if she didn't, he would be toyed with to death. After some thought, Qin Yutian called Yushu. Shu, where are you? Do you miss your brother? Yutian sighed. He went to the border for more than a year and never returned to Songshan. He didn't know how his sister was doing. When he was in Songshan, he was his sister's guardian angel. He didn't know if Yushu would rely on him like before. Oh, Yao Yao and I are about to leave. Yushu received a call from her brother. I missed you before, but not anymore. I have shield bro. I don't need to miss you anymore. Shield bro? Yutian froze. Who's shield bro? Oh, Yao Yao's follower and bodyguard. Yushu hated her brother for going to the special training for a woman. He even went to the border to train. She was still holding a grudge against Yutian's attitude. She wouldn't let go of this opportunity to piss him off. What was so good about that fox Lingshan? She made her brother fall head over heels for her, and she still didn't dump him. Yushu felt embarrassed. Look at how powerful Shield Bro was. He had Lingshan in his palm. She wouldn't dare to go west if he told her to go east. So in comparison, Shield Bro was still stronger. Chun Yutian gritted his teeth in anger. Where did this random follower come from and steal his limelight? His sister had always looked up to him, and whenever she was in trouble, she would think of him first. How did it become Shield Bro? Chapter 622. Between Yao Yao and Tang Yun, who was prettier? In fact, Yushu was proud of Yutian in the past, but ever since Yutian started going after Lingshan, Yushu wasn't too happy about it, especially when Lingshan ignored her brother, saying that she would only accept him if he defeated her. Wasn't she just making things difficult for him? Her brother was an idiot, saying that Yushu was an idiot, and Yushu thought that he was even more of an idiot. Was it worth it for a woman? After a year of special training, 2 years of experience, it seemed like he was still no match for that fox Lingshan. Otherwise, her brother would have gotten her already and wouldn't be so low profile. It was a dinner party, a formal one at that. Yushu was dressed in a cute Lolita style, while Mengyao was more on the innocent side. She looked a little older than Yushu, but Mengyao looked a little older than Yushu. Shu, are you ready? We're leaving. Mengyao knocked on the door of the dressing room. Oh, wait, I'll be ready soon. It was rare for Yushu to dress up formally, and it was only because her brother was back that she dressed up properly. Although she seemed cold towards her brother's return, she really missed her brother. After all, they hadn't seen each other for more than a year, not even for Chinese New Year. Oh, Mengyao wasn't in a rush. Since she was attending Jiang Wen's banquet, she didn't have a good sense of time. It didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Linny took Mingyao's Audi S5 out of the garage and parked it in front of the villa, waiting for Yushu and Mengyao. His phone rang, and Linny thought that it was Jiang Wen calling to rush him. Jiang Wen didn't dare rush Mengyao, but he could call Lin Yi to ask about their departure. However, Lin Yi was surprised when he looked at the caller ID. It was Lingshan. Hello? Miss Braindead. What's up? Instinctively, Linny knew that Lingshan wasn't looking for him for anything good, so his tone wasn't polite at all. Lingshan's face froze. It had been a long time since she'd heard the nickname Miss Braindead, and she'd almost forgotten that she was Miss Braindead. However, she wasn't annoyed. She took a deep breath and tried to sound cute. Yeah, Miss Braindead has something to ask of you. Huh? What is it? Linny wanted to laugh every time Lingshan called herself that. Was this considered flirting between lovers? Ever since the kidney trafficking organization's transit point was destroyed, we haven't found any other clues, Lingshan said helplessly. But the criminal organization hasn't stopped their footsteps. They've shifted their target to the villages near the city. In the past week, there have been 2 cases of kidney removal at Kayazi village in the east and Shinbu village in the west. My boss has given me an order to solve the case in 2 weeks, or I'll be sent home. Oh, I see. Lin Yi replied faintly. Hey, you won't let Miss Braindead lose her job, will you? Take pity on her and think of a way to help her get through this. Lingshan felt like her teeth were going to fall off from the sourness, but she said it so naturally, without any hesitation at all. Since when did she feel that it was natural for her to lower her voice in front of Lin Yi? What can I do? Lin Yi heard Lingshan's pitiful words. but he really couldn't do anything. He couldn't just leave Meng Yao and Yu Shu to help her solve the case, could he? The miss would be furious again. You won't leave her to die, will you? Ling Shan was really starting to panic. She'd just been scolded by her leader today, and if she couldn't solve the case in 2 weeks, she wouldn't lose her job like she said, but she wouldn't have the face to be the captain anymore. I'll keep an eye out for you. Lin Yi agreed after some hesitation. Ling Shan's attitude made it hard for Lin Yi to reject her. Whether it was for Huaijuan's sake or his personal relationship with Ling Shan, Lin Yi couldn't just ignore her. Okay. Call me if you have any news. Miss Braindead's phone is on 24/7. Ling Shan was very happy when she heard Lin Yi's answer. Lin Yi didn't say anything and hung up the phone with a faint smile. Ling Shan, on the other hand, had an indescribable feeling welling up in her heart. Was she still the same person she used to be? Why did she have to lower her voice to Lin Yi? Where was the arrogant and strong Ling Shan from before? If her friends knew that she was flirting with a man and calling herself Miss Braindead, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? No, she couldn't let anyone know about this. The reason why Lin Yi promised Ling Shan to keep an eye out for her was because Lin Yi had found a breakthrough. That was Jiang Wen. He just told Jiang Wen that he was going to take care of Pinliang, and the next day, Pinliang's kidney was cut off. It was fine if he was beaten up, but a kidney was cut off. This was a sensitive issue. Although Fabai didn't call the police, Lin Yi knew about it. Even if Pinliang's kidney wasn't cut off by Jiang Wen, he must have a close relationship with Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen must have been in contact with the kidney trafficking organization. Because of this, Lin Yi agreed to Ling Shan's request. Although Ling Shan made it sound pitiful, Lin Yi didn't like to do things he wasn't confident in. Since he was having dinner with Jiang Wen today, Lin Yi could ask Jiang Wen about his relationship with the kidney trafficking organization. Not long after hanging up, Meng Yao and Yu Shu came out of the house. When the two girls appeared, Lin Yi was stunned. The two girls were already very beautiful without dressing up. Today, they were going out for dinner and dressed up. Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned. What are you looking at? Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi was staring at her. Although she scolded Lin Yi, she was secretly happy. He finally knew that there were two pretty girls at home? Huh. Lin Yi smiled and retracted his gaze. Yao Yao sis is prettier than Tang Yun, right? Yu Shu asked with a smile. Chapter 623. A blunder caused by a misunderstanding, however. The Miss and Tang Yun were both very pretty. If one had to say who was prettier, it could only be said that they each had their own merits. The Miss today would naturally be prettier than Tang Yun without makeup. There was no doubt about that. Lin Yi said, "She's prettier than Tang Yun after makeup." Lin Yi's words didn't offend anyone. Although he was praising Meng Yao, he also said that Meng Yao was only better after makeup. Before makeup, they were about the same. However, Miss Chu had automatically ignored the words makeup queen. She felt a little smug as she glanced at Lin Yi. Humph, at least you have good taste. Oh, what about me? Yu Shu asked, using Meng Yao as the vanguard before bringing herself out. You're about the same as Yao Yao. Lin Yi didn't know how to answer. Oh, am I really that pretty? That's great. I finally met someone who isn't blind. Oh. Yu Shu cried out in surprise and glanced at Meng Yao. Shu, why are you looking at me? Are you saying that I'm blind? Meng Yao glared at Yu Shu. Yeah, who told you to say that I'm not as pretty as you? Yu Shu said confidently. Stupid girl, when did I say that? Meng Yao glared at Yu Shu. Then why did you admit it? Yu Shu retorted. I didn't admit it. You were the one looking at me. Meng Yao was pissed. Yu Shu had tricked her. Then why are you feeling guilty? Yu Shu asked. I'm not feeling guilty, although I did say that my body is more balanced than yours. Meng Yao said angrily. Oh, people with small chests always say that they're balanced. Yu Shu wasn't happy. You stupid girl. I'll tear your mouth off. Meng Yao went to pull Yu Shu's face. Shield bro. Yao Yao sis is trying to kill me again. Yu Shu screamed. All right, I'm driving. Lin Yi didn't know who to help, so he changed the topic. Right, Yao Yao. Why did you go to Mount Shuangyan with Pinliang? Lin Yi remembered the mission Peng Zhan had given him on the phone before, and he decided to take this opportunity to ask about it. That big liar Pinliang lied to me on purpose. Mengyao felt hurt when she thought about it. Pinliang didn't just lie to her IQ. He lied to her feelings as well. Pinliang didn't mean love with Pinliang, of course, but the longing for her family. Pinliang had given Mengyao hope, only to have it destroyed again and again. If Pinliang hadn't brought it up, Mengyao would have kept it as an eternal pain deep in her heart, not letting it out easily. But Pinliang's release of this sadness gave Mengyao hope. How could she not be depressed? Every time she thought about it, Mengyao would cry silently. She wasn't crying because she fell for Pinliang's trick, but because she missed her mother. She really, really wanted it. Everyone else had maternal love, but she didn't. Although she was the daughter of Pengzhan Industries and lived a luxurious life, she would rather not have all of this. She wanted a complete family, a happy home where he could have dinner with his parents every night. Lie to you. Linny was driving, so he didn't notice the change in Meng Yao's mood. Yeah, Meng Yao's heart ached again as she thought of her mother. Ah, Yao Yao, don't cry. Okay, okay, you're prettier than me, okay? Yushu held Meng Yao's hand and comforted her. Yushu would argue with Meng Yao about meaningless things sometimes, but she still missed Meng Yao a lot. Her attitude changed immediately when she saw Meng Yao sad. Cry? Linny paused and looked at Meng Yao through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were red as if she was about to cry. Yao Yao, what's wrong? Zhong Pingliang lied to Yao Yao, saying that he saw someone who looked very similar to Yao Yao at Mount Shuangyan. Yushu said for Meng Yao. Zhong Pingliang made it sound so real and tricked Yao Yao. In the end, Yao Yao and I followed Zhong Pingliang up the mountain, and we were locked in the cave. Someone who looked very similar? Linny was even more shocked. The miss wasn't that retarded, was she? It was just someone who looked similar, and she was tricked by Pinliang to see what was going on? Yeah. Yao Yao thought that the person Zhong Pingliang saw was her mother. Yushu nodded and explained. Yushu, on the other hand, was no longer as playful as before. Her mother? Linny couldn't understand. Yao Yao's mother. Isn't she dead? Your mother is dead. Meng Yao was furious. Not only did Lin Yi not comfort her, but he even cursed her mother to be dead? Ugh. Linny scratched his scalp, wondering if he'd misunderstood something. Could it be that Meng Yao's mother wasn't dead? Then why would Pengzhan say that Meng Yao's mother left them when Meng Yao was very young? Damn. Linny came back to his senses abruptly. He'd misunderstood this leave. Usually, death could also mean leave, and in this kind of tone and situation, leave basically meant that. However, Pengzhan's leave might be the original meaning of leave. That was, for some reason, Meng Yao's mother ran away from home. Linny couldn't help but sweat at the thought. This was a big mistake. He offended the miss for no reason, and it wasn't worth it. However, Lin Yi didn't care about the miss's retaliation. Your mother is the dead one. Lin Yi didn't even know who his mother was, and he didn't know if she was still alive, so Lin Yi didn't feel pressured at all. He had never seen his parents since he was young, and although he did fantasize about his parents when he was young, he had gotten used to it after so many years. He treated old Lin and his master as his family. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Your mother left home, Linny explained embarrassedly. What kind of attitude is that? You're still laughing? Is it funny? Are you mocking me because I'm pitiful? Meng Yao heard that Linny was laughing, and she got even angrier. This was the weakness that was sealed deep in her heart, and Lin Yi's attitude enraged her. Chapter 624. Chen Yu Tiana? Lin Yi's words stunned both Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin Yi had never told the miss and Yushu about his background, and they didn't think much about it. Now that Lin Yi told them about it, they realized that Lin Yi had such a tragic background. He was an orphan? Oh my God. How did he survive all these years? He looked like he didn't care about anything, but could it be that he had a sad side that no one noticed? A woman's natural motherly instinct made the miss feel pity for Lin Yi. Yes, she was nothing compared to him. At least she saw her mother, and she had a father who loved her. But what about Lin Yi? He didn't even know who his parents were. Wasn't that even more pitiful? I'm sorry. The miss was someone who could learn from her mistakes. She apologized immediately after hearing Lin Yi's words. I shouldn't have said that. I really didn't know. You're even more pitiful than me. Huh? I'm used to it, it's fine. Lin Yi shook his head. Don't fall for it again. If something like this happens, you have to inform your father first. I believe he knows your mother better than you do. And Meng Yao nodded, surprisingly not refuting Lin Yi's words. The atmosphere was a little sad as they talked, but the Mrs. Mood recovered a little. She still couldn't be happy, but at least she wouldn't cry anymore. Lin Yi parked the car in the parking lot of the Starlight Hotel, half an hour late. The two girls had stayed at home for a while, and they'd gotten into a car accident on the way. They were stuck in traffic for a while, and that was why they were late. However, none of them looked embarrassed. They got out of the car confidently and walked to the hotel. Lin Yi was just a follower, so it didn't matter to him whether he was late or not. He followed the two into the hotel leisurely. Chen Yutian was already in the room, talking to Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. His face looked normal, but he was extremely unhappy on the inside. One was because of Ling Shan's rejection, and the other was because of that shield bro who popped out of nowhere. His sister said that she didn't need him anymore. She had shield bro? Chen Yutian was furious. He only had one sister, and now she was going to be taken away? What shield bro? Shield sis. I'm going to see who this shield bro really is. Wasn't he Meng Yao's follower and bodyguard? He wanted to see if this person had the qualifications to be her bodyguard. If he wasn't qualified, then F***CK off and let him be shield bro somewhere else. At least this place didn't welcome him. As they were talking, there was a knock on the door. Jiang Wen wanted to open the door and welcome Meng Yao, but Yutian stood up first. He wanted to see who this shield bro was. Come in. Chen Yutian opened the door as he spoke, and Meng Yao and Yushu walked in. Yutian bro. Meng Yao was very polite to Yushu's brother. She greeted him as soon as she entered the room before turning to Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. Jiang Wen bro, Tai Zhao bro. Bro. Yushu followed Meng Yao into the room, but Yutian's face darkened. Where's that shield bro? Is he coming with us? Yutian wasn't an impulsive person, but he had no choice but to stand up. His sister was taken away. How could he not be worried? Yushu made it very clear that she had shield bro now, and she didn't need him as her brother anymore. How could Yutian not be troubled? Not angry? Oh, you're looking for shield bro? Yushu didn't seem to notice the tense expression on Yutian's face. He's in the back. Yutian nodded and walked to the door. When Lin Yi came in, he reached out his hand. You're that shield bro, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm Yushu's brother, Yutian. Chen Yutian wanted to embarrass this shield bro. He was already at the early phase of the golden class, and normal people weren't his match. He wanted to let his sister know that her brother was always the strongest. Huh. Lin Yi looked at Yutian with a weird expression, but he still reached out his hand. Huh. Yutian's eyes widened as he stared at Lin Yi. He couldn't believe his eyes. He pointed at Lin Yi in excitement. You. Teach. Let me introduce myself. I'm the shield bro you mentioned. Lin Yi interrupted Yutian with a smile. Yao Yao and Shu's follower. Yutian was even more shocked. He was Meng Yao and his sister's follower? What was going on? How did he become their follower? Wasn't Meng Yao and his sister too important? They actually invited him to be their follower? But looking at Lin Yi's actions, Yutian understood that Lin Yi didn't want him to reveal his identity. He introduced himself to Yutian as Meng Yao and Yushu's follower. Yutian found it hard to believe, but since Lin Yi didn't want to reveal his identity, he wouldn't say it. He held onto Lin Yi's hand excitedly. Hello? I'm Yutian, Yushu's brother. Hee haha. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao frowned. What was wrong with this Yutian? Before Lin Yi came, he said that he wanted to teach this Lin Yi a lesson for stealing his sister's place. Why was he like this now? Yushu wasn't afraid of her brother bullying Lin Yi. Instead, she wanted her brother to suffer in front of Lin Yi. She stopped thinking about Ling Shan, but she didn't expect her brother to act like this. As if he regretted not meeting Lin Yi earlier. Since you're Yushu's brother, I'll call you Yutian bro. Lin Yi was younger than Yutian, so calling him Yutian bro wasn't a bad thing. Yutian, on the other hand, was flattered. He was about to reject when he saw Lin Yi's sharp eyes. He quickly nodded. Okay, I'll call you Lil bro then. Meng Yao and Yushu widened their eyes. Was this Yutian someone who was easy to talk to? Even if Lin Yi was their follower and bodyguard, Yutian didn't have to thank Lin Yi for protecting them every day, did he? The two looked at each other and saw confusion in each other's eyes. Chapter 625. Drowning his sorrows in wine even if he was defeated by Lingshan today, and he was pissed off by Shield Bro, and he was surprised when he saw Lin Yi. Yutian felt that he couldn't stay calm. It seemed like his years of training weren't enough. On the other hand, Lin Yi was still expressionless, as if he didn't know him. Yutian couldn't help but sigh. The gap between them was something he would never be able to catch up to. Yushu was also curious about her brother's attitude towards Lin Yi. Why didn't he seem to be hostile towards Lin Yi? Was it because Shield Bro was too weak that her brother couldn't bring himself to be hostile towards him? Or was it because he was too strong that her brother didn't dare to be hostile towards him? After they sat down, Jiangwen told the waiters to start serving the dishes and ordered quite a lot of red wine. Since the food was prepared beforehand, it didn't take much time for Mingyao and the others to arrive and serve the food on the table. Yutian bro, I didn't think that you're a major now. We've all grown up. As the host today, Jiangwen naturally raised his glass first. In the blink of an eye, we're about to start our own families. I miss those carefree days. Haha, people have to grow up eventually. Yutian raised his glass as well, but he felt bitter in his heart. If it wasn't for Lingshan, he wouldn't have walked the path of righteousness, right? Would he still be as spoiled as before? Yutian could never forget Lingshan's look of disdain. That hatred towards spoiled young masters came from the bottom of her heart. This was also the reason why Yutian pulled himself together. However, Yutian still couldn't surpass Lingshan. No matter how hard he tried, he started too late. He wasn't as good as Lingshan, and naturally, he couldn't catch up no matter how hard he tried. What surprised Lin Yi was that Mingyao raised her glass as well and drank it all in one gulp. The miss didn't like Jiangwen at all, right? Why would she drink all the red wine in the glass under his suggestion? Lin Yi glanced at Mingyao in surprise, only to see that her expression was very lonely. Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood that the eldest miss was still thinking about her mother and had not recovered from her emotional state. At this moment, she was just drowning her sorrows in alcohol. Lin Yi had gotten over his parents' issues a long time ago, but Mingyao wasn't the same way. She had seen her mother when she was young, and Lin Yi had never seen his parents before. It was a completely different feeling, and so Mingyao missed them and felt melancholy. She had always hidden these emotions in her heart, but Pinliang had pulled them out, and she had no way to vent them. It was an oppressive feeling, and if she couldn't release it, she'd be in a bad mood. Drinking to drown her sorrows wasn't a bad idea. In fact, that was exactly what Mingyao was thinking. She wouldn't drink if she were to eat with Jiangwen alone. Who knew what Jiangwen would do if she got drunk? But now that Lin Yi was beside her, Mingyao let down her guard. She didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't care about her if she got drunk. She had this shield anyway. It'd be a waste if she didn't use it. Jiangwen saw Mingyao drink all the wine in one gulp, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by excitement. He was afraid that Mingyao wouldn't give him face and not drink. If that happened, then he wouldn't be able to drink too much. If he didn't drink enough, then he wouldn't be able to confess after drinking too much. He and Tai Zhao had thought of a lot of excuses to persuade Mingyao to drink, but it seemed like they were useless now. Jiangwen was still troubled. What was wrong with Mingyao today? Why wasn't she playing by the rules? He'd wasted so many brain cells thinking of excuses, and now it was all wasted. Yao Yao, why did you drink so much? Yushu noticed that something was wrong as well. Nothing. I just wanted to drink, Mingyao said faintly, not admitting the unhappiness in her heart. Oh, then can I drink as well? Yushu bit her lips, looking at the red wine in her glass with greedy eyes. She didn't drink normally, because she didn't have much contact with things like this at home. Mingyao didn't let her drink normally, and she thought about it a couple of times, but Mingyao always rejected her. She didn't think that Mingyao would take the initiative to drink today. Sure, but not too much. Mingyao nodded after some hesitation. Oh. Yushu picked up her glass of red wine. She didn't drink when they raised their glasses earlier, and now that no one raised their glasses, she started enjoying the wine. Fortunately, everyone here was used to Yushu's personality, and no one said anything. It's sweet and sour. It looks pretty good. Yushu took a sip and drank the whole glass in one gulp. It wasn't a top-grade red wine, but it was Jangwon's treat, and it wouldn't be cheap. Drink more if it tastes good. Jangwon was afraid that they wouldn't drink, so he filled his glass and raised it again. Cheers, Shu, Yao Yao. I wish you two eternal beauty and youth. Yushu didn't give Jangwon any face at all. She didn't even wait for him to finish before pouring another glass. Yao Yao, this is better than fruit juice. But you can't drink too much, you'll get drunk, Mingyao said, but she really wanted to get drunk. She'd be able to forget the sadness in her heart, and when she woke up, she'd be back to her strong self. What's this? Yushu asked as she took the bottle from Lin Yi after another drink. I don't know, but it's drinkable. Mingyao didn't drink much, so how would she know? Even if she came from a rich family, she was still a 12th grader. Peng Zhan wouldn't allow her to drink as she pleased. Chapter 626. More bottles? Haha, 09 Lafite tastes pretty much the same as a 82 Lafite, and so it's one of the best-selling years in the market. The price is fair, and the taste is pure. Tai Zhao added. Oh, looks like Jangwon bro's not bad, treating us to a world-famous wine. Yushu nodded and turned to Mingyao happily. Right, Yao Yao sis? Jangwon felt really good after hearing Yushu's words. Yushu, oh Yushu, you've never done anything good for me all these years, and now you're finally saying something fair for me. You're too awesome. Haha, it's nothing. As long as Yao Yao and Shu are happy, a few bottles are nothing. Jangwon said faintly with a wave of his hand. Yeah, but what does that 82 Lafite taste like? Yao Yao sis, do you want some? Yushu turned to Mingyao. Mingyao was feeling a little sad at first, but Yushu's words made her want to laugh. So this was the girl's goal. She wanted to try another 82 Lafite. Jangwon's face froze. He didn't expect Yushu to say that. Wasn't this a trap? 82 Lafite? The market price of that wine was over 150,000, and in this Starlight Hotel, it was sold for 300,000. Jangwon's kidneys were hurting. Jangwon bro, Yao Yao wants to try 82 Lafite too. We haven't tried it yet. Can you get us a few bottles? Yushu had used this trick on Pinliang countless times, and it was a piece of cake for her. A few bottles? My kidneys. Jangwon almost fainted on the spot. 300,000 a bottle. One bottle was equivalent to one kidney, and some kidneys couldn't even be bought at this price. Did this Miss Chen really think she was a millionaire? Did she think it was easy to earn money? The police were pressuring him, and his business was decreasing. He had no choice, and he sold his kidneys all the way to the countryside. He couldn't even get 1 or 2 kidneys a week, and now he was eating a couple of kidneys in one meal? He was so pissed that he wanted to curse. He glared at Tai Zhao. What the hell was wrong with your mouth? If you don't speak, will people think you're mute? How was Yushu supposed to know about 82 Lafite if you didn't mention 82 Lafite? But he couldn't lose his temper on the spot. That would make him look like a coward. How was he going to pursue Mingyao then? Especially since Yushu said that Mingyao wanted to drink as well. How could he say no? Waiter, 2 bottles of 1982 Lafite. Jangwon endured the pain in his heart and ordered 2 bottles. 2 bottles aren't enough, right? Yao Yao and I have a bottle each. What do you guys want? Yushu took the 2 bottles of 82 Lafite all for herself. That's enough. We don't drink that. We used to drink it all the time. You two just have a taste. Jangwon wanted to cry. 2 bottles wasn't enough? Do you want me to sell my kidney? Housen was rich, but the 2 brothers were in charge of their own businesses. Other than the money they had to give to the house and the firewolves, they didn't have much left. A meal that cost tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. This was a huge blow to Jangwon's finances. Chen Yutian thought to himself that his sister was still as cruel as ever. It wasn't something a normal person could handle. But the weird thing was, how did he become Mingyao and his sister's follower? What was going on? With his strength, he could protect any big shot. But why did he have to protect 2 little girls? But Lin Yi clearly didn't allow him to reveal his identity, so Yutian didn't dare to ask. But none of this could stop the passion in Yutian's heart. He admired Lin Yi. One could say that if it wasn't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't have the strength he had today. 2 bottles of 82 Lafite were placed on the table. Lin Yi glanced at the seal and label casually. It was the real deal. Although there were a lot of counterfeit 1982 Lafite in the market, the Starlight Hotel should not sell fake goods with its specifications and strength. After all, the price of the genuine goods was not cheap. It was 1 to 2 times the price of the normal channels. Yao sis, let's drink one bottle first. Can we bring the other one back? Yushu felt that it was better to bring it home than to drink here. Shield Bro could cook some dishes, and the three of them could have a candlelight dinner together. How romantic would that be? Up to you. Whatever Mingyao drank was the same. She just wanted to vent, to drown her sorrows with alcohol. She wanted to let the sadness in her heart dissipate along with the alcohol. Jiang Wen almost jumped up from his chair after hearing Yushu's words. You want to bring it back? Why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you buy it in the hotel? You could go to the store tomorrow and buy one bottle at a discount of 150,000. It was half a kidney, but Jiang Wen couldn't say this out loud. It would only make him lose more face. He could only endure it. His main mission today was to get everyone drunk and then confess his love. Jiang Wen could only put other thoughts aside. If his confession was successful today, then these 100,000 would be worth it. And so Jiang Wen started drinking as well. In order to make it seem real, he didn't purposely control his alcohol capacity. His alcohol capacity was quite high, and red wine wouldn't get him too drunk. Jiang Wen's anger lessened a little as he watched Tai Zhao raise his glass for all sorts of reasons. This guy was smart enough to help him drink. Yu Tian was very restrained today. Because of Lin Yi's presence, he couldn't let himself go at all. He glanced at Lin Yi from the corner of his eyes, but Lin Yi was as calm as ever. He just sat there, looking straight ahead and not saying a word. But Chen Yutian still felt an invisible pressure suffocating him. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao hadn't seen Yutian for a long time, so they didn't think much of it. They thought that Yutian's personality changed after he joined the army. Jiang Wen's main goal was to treat Mingyao and then confess his love after drinking. So, what Yutian was like had nothing to do with him. It was just an excuse. The 4 young masters of Songshan were no longer the 4 young masters of Songshan. Their relationship wasn't as close as they thought. His phone rang, and Jiang Wen frowned. He took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. It was his follower, the tattooed man, calling. He hesitated before picking up the phone. What's up? I'm having dinner. Chapter 627. Tipping off weight. Jiang Wen couldn't even tell Tai Zhao what he'd done, so he couldn't say it in the room. He stood up and said to the people in the room, I'm going to take a call. Everyone drink first. With that, he got up and left the room. Lin Yi's hearing was amazing, but he couldn't hear what Jiang Wen was saying. He could only vaguely make out the word police. He'd been paying attention to Jiang Wen in the first place, and his instincts told him that there was something wrong with this call. After Jiang Wen left, Lin Yi stood up as well. I'm going to the washroom. Tai Zhao didn't know that Jiang Wen's phone was behind his back, and he thought that Jiang Wen was trying to maintain his gentlemanly image in front of Mingyao because it was impolite to make a call in the room. He didn't even look at Lin Yi when he left the room. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was just a small bodyguard, not worth mentioning. He was only being polite to Lin Yi so that he could help Jiang Wen pursue Mingyao. Lin Yi broke Master Bing's legs and even tore down Master Bing's skyscraper. Tai Zhao was there with Jiang Wen at Master Bing's completion ceremony, and he couldn't believe it. How was Lin Yi still alive? After offending Master Bing, would he still be able to leisurely eat with Mingyao and Yushu? Didn't Master Bing take revenge? But as weird as it was, Jiang Wen only smiled faintly when he told Tai Zhao about it, not explaining anything. Tai Zhao didn't know, but Jiang Wen did. Sihua had revealed that 2 of his golden class masters had died under Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person, was he? If he were just a normal bodyguard, why would Jiang Wen pay him back? He'd suffered a few times in Jiang Wen's hands, and he'd still call him brother? Was there something wrong with his head? Jiang Wen's bodyguards weren't there yet, and he wouldn't mess with Lin Yi for no reason. As for why Master Bing didn't make a move, perhaps he was afraid? After all, Lin Yi and Sihua were enemies that couldn't be resolved. Of course, this had nothing to do with Jiang Wen. All he cared about was the family business and whether or not he could get Mingyao. Nothing else mattered to him. After leaving the room, Jiang Wen walked to the end of the hallway, step by step, until there was no one around before continuing the call. Although he was a little drunk, he was still very cautious. There were some things that he absolutely could not let others know. He regretted cutting out one of Pinliang's kidneys. Of course, he didn't regret offending Master Bing and Sihua because of Pinliang. What he regretted was that he shouldn't have cut off Pinliang's kidney. Crippling him or even crushing his balls was better than cutting off a kidney. Wouldn't that expose him easily? Fortunately, Fabai didn't call the police, and Sihua had a working relationship with him, so this matter was temporarily suppressed. Otherwise, something bad might happen. Why do you have to ask me about such a small matter? Just keep an eye on him. We'll talk about it after a while. Jiang Wen was in a hurry to confess to Ming Yao, so he was a little impatient with the tattooed guy. Bro, the fire wolves are rushing us. They're short on supplies. Why don't we spend some money to buy some? Some of those farmers are short on money. If we spend money to buy a kidney, we should be able to get some, the tattooed guy said carefully. By my ass, where's the money? Jiang Wen's heart was bleeding when he thought about how he had spent hundreds of thousands on today's meal. How would he be willing to spend money to buy a kidney? How many kidneys would he have to cut to cover the cost of today's meal? The tattooed guy didn't expect Jiang Wen to be this angry. He didn't dare to say anything. Useless thing, Kyaxi village is no good. Can't you go to another village? I heard that the Bin village in the north is also very poor. Many people are undocumented, and they don't even have a household registration. Can't you go there? Jiang Wen said impatiently. Yes. We'll go to Bin village next. The tattooed guy replied quickly. All right, don't call me if there's nothing important. I still have things to do. Jiang Wen cursed and hung up the phone. He put away his phone and was about to go back to the room. Linny flashed into the washroom at the side. Naturally, Jiang Wen didn't notice that Linny was eavesdropping on his phone behind him. If Linny was right, this Jiang Wen was most likely the mastermind behind the kidney trafficking organization. However, whether or not he sold his kidneys didn't really matter to Lin Yi. As long as it didn't implicate him and his friends, Lin Yi really couldn't be bothered with him. However, since Ling Shan came to him for help, and Lin Yi also agreed to help her, so Lin Yi decided to help her this once. Seeing that there was no one in the washroom, Lin Yi dialed Ling Shan's number. In fact, this floor was full of luxurious rooms, and every room had its own washroom. Therefore, there weren't many people in the public washroom. Other than the waiters, the customers didn't have to go to the public washroom. Lin Yi. Ling Shan received Lin Yi's call. She was inexplicably surprised. Although she didn't know why Lin Yi was looking for her, her instinct told her that it must be something good. There's a Bin village in the north of the city. You can pay attention to it. Lin Yi didn't waste any time and directly told Ling Shan the news he heard from Jiang Wen. Bin village? Ling Shan was stunned, but she immediately understood what Lin Yi meant. Could it be that it was the next target of the kidney trafficking organization? Ling Shan was excited. Although she was curious how Lin Yi got the news, she was smart enough not to ask. Ling Shan had seen Lin Yi's uniqueness firsthand, and as an obedient and lovable Miss Braindead, she knew that Lin Yi wouldn't like it if she kept asking him questions all the time. All right, I still have something to do. I'll hang up first. Lin Yi heard faint footsteps coming from the corridor and quickly said to Ling Shan, Thanks, Miss Braindead will treat you to a meal next time. You've really helped her a lot. Ling Shan said in a cute and gentle tone. Lin Yi didn't reply and directly hung up. Looking at the end of the call, Ling Shan gritted her teeth in anger. Since when did she have to lower herself like this? This Lin Yi didn't even care about her. However, Ling Shan was disappointed again. Who asked her to ask Lin Yi for help? Forget it. She'll just treat it as a couple acting coquettishly. Luckily, there's no third person who knows. Ling Shan comforted herself. Chapter 628. Reporting to you after leaving the office, Ling Shan changed her gentle demeanor and turned to the captains. Turn off your phones and get ready for the meeting. We have an urgent mission tonight. Yes? Captain Song. The captains were troubled by the kidney trafficking case as well. This was the worst case that had happened in Songshan in the past few years, and even the provincial leaders had ordered the criminal investigation team to solve the case as soon as possible, in order to minimize the negative effects of the criminal organization. Otherwise, the people in the city would be in a state of panic. Children wouldn't even dare to go to school by themselves. Even the kidney trafficking organization had become a terrifying code name. If a child cried, the parent would use the kidney trafficking organization to scare the child, and the child would immediately stop crying. The negative effects of the case had reached a certain level, and so the criminal police team had been working overtime to analyze the case and look for clues, but the progress was minimal. After all, this wasn't an individual crime, but a criminal organization with a tight organization and distribution channels. A criminal organization like this was the hardest to find evidence and clues, because they would only make their move when they were looking for a kidney source, and after that, they would perform the surgery in their own territory to remove the kidney, and then have their own distribution channels to sell the kidney. During this time, they wouldn't contact a third party, and so there were no traces to follow. Captain Song, you found a clue? Lu Wangli was the closest to Ling Shan, and so when he saw the serious expression on Ling Shan's face, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that there was a breakthrough in the case? Yeah, at least there's a clue, Ling Shan said proudly as she looked at everyone's respectful gazes. Ling Shan felt that her acting like a spoiled brat wasn't for nothing. There's a clue? Everyone had a vague guess, but they weren't sure. After all, the case was too complicated. They admired and looked forward to Ling Shan, but to say that Ling Shan had found a clue just by staying in the office for a while was a little too unbelievable. After all, Ling Shan was still at her wits' end during the meeting in the afternoon and was scolded by the leaders. If it wasn't for Huaijuan, the entire criminal investigation team would have been scolded. I received a tip-off and found out the next location of the criminal group. Ling Shan wouldn't reveal the exact location before the action. These men were all trained by Huaijuan and could be trusted, but it was better to be safe than sorry. Who knew how long it'd take for them to get their hands on the information? Next, we'll talk about the plan. Let's brainstorm, everyone. If we arrest them directly, it might be the same as last time. They are all small fries and won't be of any help to the case. Everyone nodded after listening and began to express their opinions on the operation plan. Not long after Linny hung up the phone, he heard the footsteps at the door getting closer and closer. The person was obviously coming to the bathroom. Linny was a little puzzled. Who would want to go to the washroom? He thought it was a waiter, but the person who came made Linny slightly stunned. It was Chen Yutian. Linny smiled bitterly. He knew that Chen Yutian was here for him, or else he wouldn't come to the public washroom. Sir, Special Training Team 0197 reporting for duty. Chen Yutian stood up straight and solemnly saluted to Lin Yi. His words were crisp and clean. Huh. Linny smiled faintly but didn't reply. He shrugged. I'm just a follower, not your instructor. Lin Yi didn't return the salute, which meant that Linny had abandoned his previous identity. Chen Yutian's salute was wasted. His expression froze, but he didn't show any disrespect. Sir, after you left, I heard that you went on a special mission. How come? I came back a long time ago. Lin Yi's tone was still indifferent. I've said it before. I'm not your instructor now. I'm Meng Yao's follower, and of course, your sister's follower too. She calls me Shield Bro. You can call me that too. Or if you're older than me, you can call me Shield Bro or Lin Yi. Lin Yi. So the instructor's name is Lin Yi. Today was the first time Chen Yutian heard Lin Yi's real name. In the special training team, Lin Yi's code name was Eagle, and all the members called Lin Yi Instructor or Instructor Eagle. All right, I should go back. Lin Yi didn't want to talk about the past, so he waved his hand and left the washroom. How did the instructor become my sister's follower? Chen Yutian couldn't understand this logic, but he couldn't do anything if Lin Yi didn't want to talk about it. He dreamed of meeting the instructor again one day and asking him to teach him a thing or two, but now that he met Lin Yi didn't want to talk about his previous identity. Chen Yutian couldn't bring up his request. Lin Yi went back to the room, and Jiang Wen continued to drink as usual. He didn't say anything when Lin Yi came in, because he didn't expect Lin Yi to tip Ling Shan off. Let's play something fun after drinking, shall we? What's the point of just drinking? Tai Zhao said. What do you guys say? He really was a little drunk. He didn't control his alcohol tolerance, so he was in a daze right now. But it was also because of this that it was more realistic, and people couldn't see through it. Otherwise, with Meng Yao's intelligence, she would definitely see through it and think that it was an act. What do we play? What do you think? Jiang Wen looked at Meng Yao and Yu Shu. Do you guys have any suggestions? It's fun. It's fun. I love playing. Yushu agreed with both hands. It was so boring to drink, and she would drag Yao Yao back home if they kept drinking. Mingyao didn't say anything, nor did she refute. To be honest, she didn't want to play with Jiangwen and Tai Zhao, but she remembered that Shu and Linny were here, and Shu wanted to play, so she decided to play. I think, why don't we play truth or dare? Tai Zhao said, and Qin Yutian came back to the room. Tai Zhao heard him and said, Yutian bro, let's play together? We used to play a lot. Ha, do you remember when you chose dare to kiss Lingshan and got beaten up? Ha ha ha. Chapter 629. How embarrassing. Yutian's face darkened. This was something he'd done when he was younger, something Tai Zhao had planned, making him choose dare and kiss Lingshan, but he'd gotten beaten up by Lingshan instead. And this Tai Zhao was treating it as a joke? But seeing that Tai Zhao was drunk as well, Yutian didn't do anything out of respect for each other. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. Yutian was Lingshan's pursuer? It seemed like Lingshan wasn't that interested in him. Linny wondered how Lingshan would react if he kissed her. There was a high chance that he would swallow the humiliation. What's truth or dare? Linny had never heard of this game, nor had he played it before. Haha, it seems like Linny bro hasn't played it before. Tai Zhao, explain the rules. Jiangwen said. All right, it's very simple. Tai Zhao said. Truth or dare is a game for many people to play together. You can use rock, paper, scissors, or you can spin a bottle to decide who to ask. Of course, you can also ask them one by one. We have more people, so we don't have to play rock, paper, scissors anymore. Then, let's say I'm the questioner, and I can ask a question, and the person has to answer it, and it has to be the truth, no bullshit. If someone sees through the bullshit, they'll have to drink a bottle as punishment. Of course, if the question is sensitive or personal, you can choose not to answer, but you'll have to choose dare. Dare, on the other hand, is where I ask a question and the person has to do it. There can't be any objections, and they have to do everything. After choosing dare, you can't go back on your words unless you choose to drink a bottle as punishment. Oh, then you guys play first. I'll watch. Linny didn't care if he participated or not. It didn't have much to do with him anyway. All right, we'll play first then. You watch. Tai Zhao nodded, agreeing to it. As far as he was concerned, it didn't matter if Linny participated or not, as long as Mingyao participated. I'll start with an bro then. All right, ask away. Jiangwen nodded calmly. As far as he was concerned, Tai Zhao wouldn't ask him those tricky questions, and he couldn't just confess to Mingyao in the first round, either. That would be too abrupt. He'd have to at least wait for a round before he could confess his love to Mingyao. Then I'll start first. The first question won't be so tricky. Tai Zhao said on purpose. My question is, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? The bravest? Jiangwen thought about it. The bravest thing he'd ever done was cutting out someone else's kidney. Of course, he couldn't say that out loud. He still had to maintain a positive image in front of Mingyao, so he couldn't talk about those fights. He thought about it for a while, and realized that there were a lot of bad things he'd done, but none of them were positive. Jiangwen couldn't help but feel annoyed at Tai Zhao's question. What the fuck was this bullshit question? But he had to answer it, or it wouldn't be truth or dare anymore. Only Jiangwen himself would know if it was the truth or not. Jiangwen organized his words and remembered some adventure movies he'd seen before. The bravest thing I've ever done is fighting sharks. Oh. I love fighting sharks the most. Yao Yao likes brave people too. Yushu clapped her hands and cheered. Mingyao glared at Yushu, but didn't say anything. Jiangwen was overjoyed at Yushu's words. Mingyao liked brave people? It seemed like Tai Zhao's question was right. It seemed like he'd have to do his best then. Thus, he said, I was once at a beach. I was swimming when I suddenly heard screams and cries for help not far behind me. As soon as I turned around, I saw a big shark swimming toward me. At this time, I didn't think of running away, but I wanted to save these tourists from danger. So I quickly swam toward the shark. The shark saw me and thought that I was coming to die. It was very happy and wanted to swim over to eat me. How could it know that it was actually itself that was going to die? Wow, Jiangwen bro, you're so brave. Yushu exclaimed. It's all right. Jiang Wen got even more excited after hearing Yushu's praise. He started making up stories with the help of the alcohol. I punched the shark in the mouth and broke all its teeth. That shark lost its teeth and became a toothless tiger. It couldn't eat me anymore, so it was stunned. Then it turned around and tried to run, and how could I let it get away? Trying to run after scaring people? How could it be that easy? So I grabbed the shark's tail and swung it around, and it fell on the beach with a loud bang, getting a concussion. Shit. Yushu's eyes widened in disbelief. Jiangwen bro, you're so strong. I heard that shark teeth are the toughest animal teeth in the world, and you can even break them. You're so strong. Jiangwen paused. How would he know how strong a shark's teeth were? He'd only seen sharks in the aquarium when they were alive. He'd never touched a real one before. He was just making up stories to show off his bravery. He didn't think too much about it. But now that the words had been said, there was no room for regret. He had to bite the bullet and said, "It's all right. It's not very powerful." "Oh, Jiangwen bro, I have a shark tooth keychain here. Can you show me how to break it?" Yushu took out a keychain and put it on the table. This was the shark that Lin Yi killed last time, and Yushu took one of its teeth and made it into a keychain out of boredom. Wah! Jiangwen's eyes widened, and his face almost cramped. He didn't think that Yushu would really take out a tooth for him to break. Was this a joke? Shark teeth were the toughest teeth in the world, and he wouldn't even be able to break a normal tooth. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.